Welcome, everybody. This is Coach D here once again. It's been a few days. I've been real busy in the YouTube streets. So I am now doing some content on Mr. Umar Johnson, somebody that I don't take pleasure in talking about unless we're talking about the goddamn school opening. So I'm going to play a little jam for a little bit, then we're going to get started with the content. So let me go ahead and take a little small break. So we're going to chop it up about Umar Johnson once again.
Wanna know the sequel to let her tongue go low. my ship hard and ready. Look the way she like to go steady. Did the rail about to go and let it flow. Baby, you don't wanna let time waste right now. Wanna hear you make that freaky ass sound.
What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? This is Coach D. Once again, I am here, and we're going to talk about, unfortunately, through the latest events that have occurred. Oh my God, we got to talk about Umar Johnson again. My God. We got to talk about Umar goddamn Johnson. Now, you all know that my stance on Umar has evolved over time. And just, it seems like at this point, Umar continues to make the fucking news or go viral for everything except what he needs to. And that's opening the goddamn school. He go viral for talking about politics. He go viral for talking about the LGBT community and the bisexual and the snow bunnies and the Brads. He goes live once again for saying something, meeting a white girl in the mall. And now, once again, he's in the news for some shit that's unrelated to the school. Now, there is a, I don't know what you call what she is. We have a woman right now who's claiming Umar tried to smash. Now, again, he tends on every 2 or 3 months, Umar is going live over some bullshit that is irrelated to the goddamn school. What's up, Dr. Nikki Proctor Walden? She said, D. Durrell, the alpha male. Yes, baby. My boy LV say Umar go viral for eating pizza and ice cream. Facts. Return of the Brother 2 says, since Lennon backed out, the Umar sector is done. No more money to be made. Shit, it's been that way for a while. That's why I'm no longer there. And I want that little stupid ass sector that claim they the Umar sector. For the niggas who are always talking about D. Durrell right now, niggas, don't think I'm back in the sector because I decided to do a video on Umar Johnson. No, niggas, I don't fuck with you. You don't fuck with me. And that's what it's going to be. But those who want to fuck with me that are in the chat and that come and deal with D. Durrell, we good. But you know the niggas that like to clip shit, the niggas who like to talk about comedic shit, you know, niggas who talk about nothing and funk and fuckery, and niggas who sit outside showing the project that they live in, so wearing the same dusty ass black shirt and chain. That also, you also are in that group too. Yes, and also a little chipmunk that roll around the country, ride around the country as a flight attendant. That applies to you too. those niggas, and an old ass nigga in Columbus. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with these niggas. But D Darrell is not coming back. And as far as Cole fam, get your bars up, get your production up if you want D Darrell to respond to that bullshit y'all put out. You know, get your bars up, get your production value up, and then D Darrell may respond. Just want to let you know, this nigga here, get your bars up. Get your bars up, get your music up, get your production up. Again, you put out a song that nobody give a fuck about. I put out a song, the whole sector chanting the song. That's the difference between me and you. Sorry, you're not on my level yet, player. Get your game up, then D Darrell may respond. Other than that, no response. I gotta quit responding to everybody. That's why I'm not responding to anybody. But let me get back to the topic at hand. The current state of Umar Johnson is bullshit. The current bullshit state of Umar Johnson. Same old shit. Same old shit. And now is at a point, this has repetitively occurred with Umar and women. This has repetitively occurred where Umar is obviously, which we already knew. We knew Umar was trying to fuck with the women. We already knew that. We already knew. But damn, can you be a little bit more discreet? Show some discretion? Now he got Miss Piggies and shit going against him. Shout out to my boy We On Lock, because I wouldn't have known shit about this if it wasn't for my girl Tiff. Shout out to Tiff Griff, the real Tiff. And I'm gonna show y'all, and I want you all to listen to this, because I had no idea, absolutely no idea, that this bullshit was going on. Until I saw We On Lock channel. And I was like, damn. Is this what we got going on? I mean, I had no idea. I want you all to check this out. What I'm going to do first, because my boy We On Lock is live right now, and he talking about lies, more lies, receipts. And we know We On Lock and Tiffany Griffin are going to cake for Umar, especially Tiffany Griffin. That's Umar's her ace. I get it. I've been there. I've done that. I can't go back to it. Yes, Tiff Griff was on last night. LV on his channel. Now, I'm gonna show y'all what happened. Because We On Lock, man, look, you my boy and all, but damn, man. Like, you gotta hold Umar Johnson accountable for the bullshit. This whole thing about Umar can't get no wrong. It's everybody else's fault but Umar. Come on, man. This has been multiple times that Umar has been involved in bullshit. And then, people like myself and other Pan-Africans are coming to the rescue of him for all the bullshit that he get himself involved in. We up here doing, putting out fires and shit. I retired from that. I would not allow myself. I support those who support me. And that's just what it is. I'm not going to allow myself to get involved in this shit. So what I'm going to do is play what We Unlock talked about.
Was at the lecture in Fort Pierce, Florida in 2012 when I met her in the book signing line.
Fair use.
So I need to ask my beautiful African sisters. Can I ask my African sisters a question? Can I ask my beautiful African sisters a question? How can I be in a relationship with a woman I've never been around? I met her in the book signing line at my Fort Pierce, Florida debut lecture. Never saw her again until 2021 when she invited me to the Haitian Flag Day in Brooklyn, New York.
She is Haitian.
Shout out to my Haitian Africans. I love y'all, but this is one chick I cannot stand. Why would you go on Tasha K and fabricate a relationship with a man you never been alone with? She never been in my hotel room. I never been in her hotel room. We never been in a restaurant. We never sat on the step together. I was never around the woman in my life.
I'm gonna give you I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna go ahead and find the actual person that this.
Now this is We Unlock. He gonna show a picture, but I'm gonna skip that. You know, he gonna cake for Umar no matter what. I get it.
Been alone with in 10 years. I'm going to marry her at the first annual FDMG Festival.
Hold on a second.
I don't know.
So Umar talks about things, and then he's gonna go back. I just want to make sure I get all of this.
But she is.
That's mostly what they need to know.
Signing line. So I need to ask my beautiful African sisters. Can I ask my African sisters a question? Can I ask my beautiful African sisters a question? How can I be in a relationship with a woman I've never been around? I met her in the book signing line at my Fort Pierce, Florida debut lecture. Never saw her again until 2021 when she invited me to the Haitian Flag Day in Brooklyn, New York. Shout out to my Haitian Africans. I love y'all, but this is one chick I cannot stand. Why would you go on Tasha K and fabricate a relationship with a
Gray pill? I got the goddamn stamp, but if the fucking audio is all janky, so I refuse to play it. I ain't
man you never been alone with? She never been in my hotel room. I never been in her hotel room. We never been in a restaurant. We never sat on the step together. I was never around the woman in my life. She came to one lecture and that was it. She told Tasha K we were in a 10-year relationship. Can somebody help me understand that? Can somebody help me understand why this Jezebel went on Tasha K and said we was in a 10-year relationship and I never been alone with her a day in my life? Can somebody help me understand this? She said I was going to legally marry her during the fashion show wedding. What sense does that make? I'm going to use my first annual FDMG festival. I'm going to use my first.
Is she here yet? Nope. All right, we'll just do this.
What did Great? No, because I saw the interview. What did Great Pill? What was his? What did he?
Now, Real Lock makes his. I mean, I don't. He kind of went all over the place with it. Now he's going to play a little bit of what was said.
Yeah. We're all over Instagram together and things like that. And I had never heard of polygamy or like having multiple wives. I'm Haitian American. We don't believe in that. We're Caribbean women. We don't believe in like.
That's a lie.
Like having multiple wives or what have you. And she kept wanting me to meet him. And the way she posed it was that he is like this powerhouse. He's amazing. You know, he's intelligent. She knew my background in psychology and public relations. I had studied in England. I had traveled, you know, to many different countries by the time I was like 16, 17, because my parents were traveling all the time and they educated us that way. And then I was on the radio at the time in a small town, and that's where I met this young lady. And because I had just relocated from Atlanta, so I lived in Atlanta for years, Tasha, and that's where my activism started, where I became more like Black power, like Dr. King, like, you know, and she knew that about me. So she took the opportunity to tell me about Dr. Umar. And when she brought him up to me, it was more like education, empowerment, things like that. And she knew that's what I liked. Some people feed off of our weaknesses, right? Or what we're attracted to. And fast forward, when I met him, automatically he was trying to eye me down, trying to be very sexual or what have you, made a couple of sexual advances. I'm a very nice young lady, but what's going on here? And then after we met, we had pictures that night. It was such a great vibe. And I'm not gonna lie, he really impressed me with his knowledge, with his and actually talking about the Black men and the boys and the ADHD and things like that. Because as a sister who cares, I was down with that. I already knew about that from Atlanta. I knew that more Black people needed to know about that in Florida, because Florida is very racist and a lot of kids fall through the cracks. So that right there was everything for me. Fast forward, this man, our first conversation was basically like, I'm gonna F you. I don't know what I could say on your show. And
yeah, you can say
on the
what's the point? Did not become
this
is the whole. Oh Lord, I should have dropped.
Hold on.
I'm with you on that, Trey.
Yo, this is also he said, she said bullshit.
So they're talking and doing stuff. I'm kind of waiting for her to get it out. And so she basically states that Umar wanted to fuck her. Okay? Let's just put it out there. Now, here come my girl Tiffany Griff. She come to the rescue for Umar once again. Shout out to Tiffany Griff. That's my girl, but I'm like, come on.
Oh, we got here she is. Ah.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
This is Tiffany, the one I told you about.
Oh.
Now, to those that don't know, the pretty chick at the bottom left, that's my girl Tiff Griff. Used to be in the sector. She out now. I wish I would have left along with her. But here she go.
Shit.
Hello, everyone. Hello. How are you? Thank you. We on live. I apologize, baby, for being late, but I was at work and I'm just now getting settled. I thank you very much for allowing me to be here. I appreciate you.
All right. Go ahead and elaborate what the hell is going on.
Okay, so
Can I ask one question before you go? Do you mind introduce this, because I'm not aware of who you are, because he asked me to come up here.
No problem. My name is Tiffany Griffin. I'm a loyal supporter of Dr. Johnson. I am a student of his. I spent a year along with 30 other Africans globally traveling with him and learning under him. I am a friend also of We Unlock and various people in a chat. Shout out to TMK Media. That's one of my very, very close friends. Who else is in here under pseudo names? I see D. Darrell, baby. Hello. Love you too. Love you too, sweetheart. A couple of my A1 day ones in the chat. So I just want to say hi to them. We Unlock invited me on this to discuss this because after this silverback looking bitch came forward to lie on Dr. Johnson, I called her. And I would like, with his permission, to play the audio clip. It's about a minute long of me and her having a conversation.
Go ahead.
So you let me know if.
Now, I want you all to listen to this carefully, because there's going to be 2 phone calls. So listen to this carefully.
If it's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you. Some transparency.
Yes. I remember now, just before I start playing this clip, she was at the first FDMG block party. I was there as well, along with some other people, my classmates who also traveled. She became very angry at the person who was hosting, and she demanded that Dr. Umar, I remember this, marry her for real during the fashion show. You guys remember the fashion show? where it was
Mhm.
him and two women. This was, everybody knew that this was just a part of the show to show off the African wares and the designer. This was not a
And you
real
were there,
marriage.
and you were there too, right?
Yes, I was. I was sitting maybe in the third row.
Okay.
This was not a real marriage. This was not a wedding ceremony. This was for the fashion show, like every other designer have done on every other fashion show stage. She became upset and irate because she wanted a real wedding with Dr. Ifa. Caused the scene, and they ended up substituting her out and placing another.
Now stop. Guys, man, I don't know the truth of this shit, but this woman is married. How the hell she wanted a real man? Listen, I have to question this. We don't like you, my boy, Tiff Griff. I'm not saying you lying, but I'm trying to figure out how does she want, how does Anaya, whatever her name is, want a real wedding and she's married?
Another young lady, beautiful young lady, in her place to wear the gown. This bitch is a nut job. She is a legit nut job. I mean, she literally, something is wrong with her. Like literally something is wrong. They've never been in any type of relationship, because there's no way in hell Dr. Ifa is going to be with a woman for 10 years and nobody in our camp have ever seen her. She's lying. She is lying. She's lying. So I called her. I got her phone number. I picked up my phone and let me know when I can play the video, the audio.
Oh, go ahead, babe. Oh, before you do that, let me give a shout out real quick again. Thank you very much, Raw Beef, for the super chat. Thank you very much.
That's ISO. Rack it up. I got a bit of the bank to make me a safe house. Shake it up. She got her hands on her knees and she bringing the cake out. Smoke it up. I got some gas, some packs. I'm up in the greenhouse. Ball it up. I'm with the gang. We taking shots off the rebound. Fucking my post the same now. I've been humble too long. Yeah. Tell them all to stay calm. Yeah. Tell them all to move on. Yeah. Fucking my post the same now. They be lost in the sauce. Yeah. Took a loss, that's your loss. Yeah. Had to get my point across. Yeah. Heard them lanes was talking none and we don't pay that no mind. Didn't need to watch and know that I be.
All right, go ahead, babe.
Okay, you were there. And yes. I saw a bunch of things. I saw an amazing, festival put out for our kids to show off the school, but I also don't understand that if he did want it to have a sexual encounter with you, why you feel the need to blab about it now almost 2 years later.
So Tiffany, has he ever tried to have sex with you or make out with you or anything?
Absolutely not. I'm a student of
now
his.
this is the telephone call.
To me.
Let me rewind back. I want you all to understand this is the telephone call now. This is because it sounds a bit choppy, but this is the telephone call. Let me go back.
My point across. Heard them lanes was talking none and we don't pay that no mind. Didn't need to watch and know that I be.
All right, go ahead, babe.
I saw a bunch of things. I saw an amazing,
This is the
festival
phone call.
put out for our kids to show off the school, but I also don't understand that if he did want it to have a sexual encounter with you, why you feel the need to blab about it now almost 2 years later.
So Tiffany, has he ever tried to have sex with you or make out with you or anything?
Absolutely not. I'm a student of his. He's been nothing but professional to me.
Tiffany, you're not an attractive woman, obviously.
I'm not attractive.
Oh shit!
I know your bloated, ugly ass did not say I'm not attractive, and I saw your fucking picture. Are you serious?
Oh, now you're cursing because you sound like you're offended.
You just said I was unattractive. Am I supposed to be happy about that? You are in no position to tell me I'm unattractive. No position whatsoever.
He tries to sleep with everybody.
Dr. Umar does not try to sleep with everybody. He does not.
Don't call again, because you're obviously a crippled, demented weirdo that's literally.
And you're ugly as shit and a liar. That's what you are. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently, she sets the standard of what is beautiful. And
now I'm gonna say this, man. I gotta stop here. I can't believe now that was the legitimate phone call. Those were receipts. This chick flat out tried to tell Tiffany she was unattractive. I'm looking at her like, are you fucking kidding me? Man, we got some just, I don't know, the confidence that motherfuckers got these days. They don't, I guess now you can't, what's next? First, now you can't fat shame nobody. Now you can't ugly shame nobody. Like, what the fucking world coming to?
And that's fine if she feels that way, because everybody should have a healthy self-esteem. But this bitch seems to think that because he supposedly tried to sleep with her, and if he don't try to sleep with you, then you're not cute according to her standard. You have got to be fucking kidding me.
According to who?
This silverback looking bitch that looked like a 5-year-old did her makeup.
Oh,
On Tasha K glittering and shit.
Oh
with her
God.
ugly big mama looking ass, gonna have the audacity, has never seen my picture, don't know what I look like, but tell me that I'm obviously not attractive because Dr. Ifa has never tried to sexually harass me. You have got to be kidding me.
There's a couple of people. There's a couple.
I like your avatar. I thought it was beautiful.
Can I ask a question? Because we're about to drop off topic. I can't. The other lady, Mama. So the video, the audio you playing is supposed to be a confession of her, or just you arguing.
This is just me and her talking, and she's admitting that her and Dr. Ifa had a 10-year relationship. That's not true. And the fact that she asked me, have I ever had sex with Dr. Umar? And I have never. He's never been nothing but professional with me. We have never been romantically involved. And she says, well, obviously, since you haven't, then you must not be an attractive woman because he tries to sleep with only attractive women, as if this bitch is the standard.
Okay, so that was all the audio from there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Anybody else have anything else to say, or I'll land my plane.
I just don't understand. I'm not the type of person to kiss and tell. I that's just not me. If I allowed, let's say for the sake of this discussion, D. Durrell to scramble my guts, nobody would know about it, and I wouldn't do that because he's a married man and he's my friend. But just using that as an example, there's no way in hell I'm gonna get on Tasha K's stage and blab about it. That sounds like some bitter shit, especially when there were witnesses there at the first block party that saw her have a whole meltdown because she couldn't marry him right there on the spot.
She was supposed to be the third woman. I heard.
You have got to be kidding me.
So can I ask a question in her mind? So how did she get the impression that she had some kind of form relationship with him?
I don't know. You'd have to speak to her therapist and her clinician about that.
That's a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
That's a lot of paperwork.
Maybe D. Durrell, if he can come up, he can speak on some people who have delusions in their head and create whole relationships when they're not hinged mentally.
I will say this because on the other end, because just you stepping up as a friend, someone that's been in that situation like that, I think that's what you're supposed to do. If you have somebody to say, hey, I know this is not true. This is a actual genuine friend, and somebody is discrediting my friend's character. That's something you should do.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would do the same thing for We on Lock if some crazy nut job bitch was going around lying on him, because I consider him a friend.
Correct.
And I just don't think that that's fair. We are adults. We're not like middle schoolers. This is some middle school shit.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know if this lady is broke. Maybe she needs some money. I told her, in the first part, I like before we started recording, that Amazon is hiring, bitch. Go make some money the honest way. Don't try to drag somebody's name in the mud just so you can make a buck.
To be fair, I know I'm gonna take it as a joke, at a jab, but at the same time, to be fair, she's 100% true. Amazon actually is hiring on all levels, and they start up a whole Uber thing too. So there's no excuse for not making money. Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Wow, really?
Yes.
Well, I make more than Amazon right now, but
you make more than anybody employed for Amazon, sir. Okay. Let's not make an argument who got big bank, little bank. Let's not do that. Let's not do that.
Wow, this brother of mine was totally interrupting me while I was speaking. Question now.
Okay, to everybody listening right now, I got a treat for you. I would like you all to know at this moment, Miss Tiff Griff will be on live with me on the panel in about 15 minutes. Let me repeat. My baby mama, my other baby mama that I stopped talking about. I only got one baby mama now. That's Tiff Griff. She coming in about 15 minutes. She gonna come chop it up with D. Durrell, her baby daddy, and we're gonna talk about this situation with Umar Johnson and his lady, about the phone call and all that. She just hit me up and said, I'm gonna be there in about 15 minutes. I'm gonna let this play out, and then she gonna come in and we're gonna get this, we're gonna let this show heat up.
Now, Tiff, we've been around Dr. Umar for how long? Possibly
Years, yes.
Years. Has he been professional or has he been a jerk?
He has always been professional. I can never honestly say where he's ever been anything inappropriate in a sexual manner with me. We've all traveled across the country. We stayed in Airbnbs, hotels, not me and him in a hotel room, but our whole class as a whole, 30 adults. And he's been nothing but professional, period. I have never seen everything she's saying. I've never seen that side of him. And if she was dating him for 10 years, somebody in our camp would know her.
Pretty much. But as I said before, I mean, it's just like the supposed white girl when he was getting his phone fixed at the store. It was the supposedly hooker that slash hotepper. It's always gonna be something, but he knows how to clear his name.
Right.
So I recommend this is pretty much a wash. Now, as far as it pertains to her going to Tasha K and trying to get some dollars, some mega dollars from her, I mean, she needs some mega dollars for a weight loss program because the bitch comes off.
I'm not gonna body shame.
I will. She body shame me.
I will definitely pay for it. It's free on the house, free on me. Why the fuck would Umar? You of all people he would skip around other women to marry your ass.
Right. And any woman worth her weight would not try to demand a wedding from a man. When a man want to marry you, you don't have to demand and have a whole ass meltdown. Like
Haitian American.
I feel like calling her again.
African or not.
I feel like calling her again right here, right now. Like I'm dead
Go
ass
ahead.
serious.
Hell, go ahead and call the shit.
Hold on, before you do all that, because I didn't see all the response that Dr. Umar did. So I know we're kind of like, we're not in his head, but y'all, the two closest that know him better than I. So I have to ask this. So when was y'all aware of her attitude or persona, her actions negative toward him, like, hey, the clinginess and what we're seeing now unfold? And if you saw it, and did you think he see it? And why didn't he like kind of check this from the beginning? Because the little bit that I saw, he was like, well, you did this, you did that. And I'm like, okay, well, if I know you flirt with me and you're pregnant and I'm the guy in the headlight of TV media all the time, I need to be a little bit more careful around those type of people. So I need to.
Okay, he has more than 100.
She wasn't like showing pregnant. She was new pregnant, like a few weeks pregnant. She wasn't for the at the block party.
Pudgy pregnant, basically. Yeah.
She's fat as fuck, but I didn't think she was pregnant when I saw her.
But he did state that she flirted with him a couple of times. So if he was aware of that, why didn't he? He
doesn't. Tiffany, doesn't he? When they take pictures, isn't he like flirtatious with every other girl when he's taking a picture?
Yeah, there's a lot of women that flirt with Doc openly.
Exactly.
Like, we see that all the time.
Okay. All right, I'm asking the dumb question that most people will ask. So then if that's the case, then wouldn't it be like even more so just to be aware of people like that? Because I'm a regular guy, and if I start flirting with everybody and I got a side chick, hold on, let me make a point. I'm a regular guy, right? 9 to 5, I'm ugly, it's all get out, broken baby, right? But if I'm flirting, if I got a side chick, girlfriend, fiance, and wife, and I'm flirting with multiple people, those people that find out, they're gonna feel some kind of way.
Well, Doc is looking for a second wife.
Okay.
So he
And
had
they're aware of it.
yeah, everybody knows he wants 2 wives. That's not a secret. He's been
Exactly.
pretty open about
Okay, I
that.
wasn't aware.
He wants to be married to 2 women. I think he said no more than 3 or 2 or something like that, but definitely more than 1.
Okay. Does it matter about race or?
Hell yeah, it
Oh,
matters.
yeah, he does. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, he don't date outside of his race at all,
No, hell no.
and don't promote we do either.
Mm.
Last question. I'll let y'all get to it. So, how will he know that if that person's black?
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
I don't know. Somebody could say they're black, but they might have a white mom. Like, is there a criteria? Like, he need a checklist or something? How does that work for him?
Well, according to Garveyism, if the person has one parent that is black or that is African, then they're by definition an African. We don't do the whole light skin, black skin, dark skin supremacy thing, and we believe that biracial Africans are Africans. They belong to the family.
Melanin is melanin. Right.
A lot of people may disagree with that, but that's a Garvey principle that Doc lives by.
Anything else? Okay, Tiff, go ahead.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Go ahead, give him a call. Give him a call. Shit, I ain't got nothing. Well, I got some time. Go ahead and call.
Now, guys, I want to preface at this time that Tiffany Griffin, my baby mama, she will be contacting the lady again live. And this is what's going to happen. I want y'all to listen closely.
Hey, Chocolate Earth, how's it going?
Hi,
Go ahead.
Chocolate Earth.
Go ahead, call her. Go ahead, call her, yo. Go ahead, call her. Shit, this could be the one to remember. Maybe she can come up. Oh shit!
Calling right now,
this
guys.
is exclusive. Like and subscribe to the channel. And like and subscribe to my other channel too. New World Nation coming soon. Yeah. Thank God you made it.
What's up,
Thank
girl?
God
Hello.
Hello?
Hi, this is Tiffany Griffin. I spoke with you yesterday regarding Dr. Umar.
Why are you still calling me?
Well, I only called you this one time. Don't say still. This is only my second time I'm calling you. I'm not gonna blow your phone. You bitch. She hung up, y'all. She don't want to
She hung up, guys.
talk, so I'm not gonna call her again.
Damn.
I was just gonna ask her a question, but she don't want to talk. So out of respect, I'm gonna leave her ass alone.
Just text her. Tell her to come on up. Tell her to come up. Shit. Shit, I'll send her the link. Send her the link. Damn. Call her again. Tell her
I'm not gonna be stalking the bitch. I'm not gonna blow her phone up. She doesn't want to talk. She made it clear. So
Fuck. All right. So basically this is all a wash, but if she makes it even, she blows us up even more, than basically we on her ass just like that. But she don't on her to Tasha K, but Tasha K don't need to be talking. She don't need to be talking.
I don't know. Don't Tasha gotta pay Cardi B some money or something?
Exactly my point. I told you. I think it's like $4 million or something like that. Why the fuck is she talking to you?
I don't know.
Why the fuck is she talking to you when you don't need to be talking, Mitch? It's as simple as that. Emma, what you want to? But is this clear? Is this clear for you? Is this satisfying to you?
Absolutely.
Now I'm going to play the duration of this until Tiffany Griff gets off, because she's basically the star of the show and making it interesting. So I'm gonna just play the remainder, because she's gonna say a few things, and then when she get off, I'll continue with my commentary.
I was laughing my butt off. I ain't even gonna lie when I was on mute.
Wait.
I was bagging up.
Number?
What you saying?
How did you get her phone number?
How did I get her phone number?
How did you get? Were y'all kicking it? Were y'all friends?
No.
She's part of the group. She said she was part of the group.
Part of the committee.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
All right. So just to recap for me, because somebody asked in the chat, shout out to APAC. So just for clarity, I'm so sorry. I don't remember your name, ma'am. Miss
Tiffany.
Tiffany.
Oh,
Miss
yes,
Tiffany.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
so just to clarify, so about 8-9 months ago, a woman that thought had a crush or some, to you, mental illness, heart crush about for Dr. Umar, made some crazy false allegation claims on him, showed up on Tasha K to just bluntly lie, according to you and Umar, which then currently now coming back, she regurgitated the old video, posted up as it was new. Dr. Umar brought up again, made his conversation and rebuttal about it, and now here we are on We Unlock, where it shows like timestamps that what y'all say is true. Is that do I have that in a nutshell?
That's pretty much it.
Okay, all right. That's for the people that just came in chat. So this is where we at now. Thank you.
Yes. So yeah. I say for in closing, this is just all she says. She say you trying to get money. I don't know what you're trying to do, but now I know how most dudes feel when it comes to females like that. But I'm not gonna denigrate the whole entire nation of females because again, as I said, being fair, being balanced. Being balanced. I said there's some messy. I'm not gonna use the B word. Some messy females out here just doing whatever the fuck it is.
Well, this situation right here, now, is more than messy. Is very dangerous because somebody like that, literally, that's why I said, like, and I'm not trying to tell anybody how they should move anything like that. But if you're in the spotlight, casually flirting with every other third girl, whatever, I would have to really take another firm look at vetting certain women, especially if I'm in that spotlight, and especially if the world knows that I'm looking for a second or third wife, because you're going to get those type of creepers out there, and I think that they are the one. Find him, follow him, learn all his patterns, and he's going to find himself alone in a situation he's not going to like.
Well, number one, she was wearing a lace front on her head, so you don't.
I don't wish it like. This is what I'm saying. A dangerous person can find you anywhere they want and do harm to you.
Yeah,
She was stalking her anyway. I mean, she was stalking him anyway. I mean, that's what he said. She was mainly stalking him anyway. So
she showed up at the block party wanting a wedding right then and there. So I mean, I hear what you're saying. People like this are very dangerous and unhinged. I completely agree with you. You really do have to be careful. You really do have to be careful.
Well, somebody should tell, or somebody needs to tell him. Well, I'll text him and see what he says, but he's not gonna receive it right away. But I'm gonna text him and see what he says. And again, hopefully he'd be excited for another premiere, probably the last one that I ever do with him, because he's just so fucking busy. We'll see what happens. But any other thing you want to present with Tiff before, because I know you're tired.
No, I want to thank you for having me, and it was very nice to meet you all. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're very welcome. Thank you. I appreciate it, and good to meet you.
I'll talk with you later, Tiff.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Tiff.
All his weaknesses.
Was gonna get moved, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
I hear crazy as fuck. You became now. Tiff pretty much left after that. I don't know why she was still up, but she left out. I'm expecting Tiff to show up at any minute, so I'm gonna pretty much kind of filibuster until she get here and ask more questions. For those that want the link, I'm going to go ahead and throw the link out. Anybody wants to express their opinion on this? Anybody wants to talk about it further with Coach D. Darrell Spears? You can. Now, I also want to play a little snippet of a review that O'Shea did on this. O'Shea Duke Jackson, my little nephew. I'm gonna play this also, so because he kind of went into detail with this. So I want you to hear this, and please just give me your opinion in the chat. Okay, so it goes like this.
On the Tasha K program. Now, to be fair, it seems that this was recorded last year and maybe coming out just now. I'm not sure of that, but the lady is called Anaya A on Instagram, the Anaya Show. Now, she's currently married to an African brother, but she's going to talk about how her and Dr. Umar met in this particular clip.
I had a friend, I'm not going to say her name, but I sent you her picture as well.
Yes.
We're all over Instagram together and things like that. And I had never heard of polygamy or like having multiple wives. I'm Haitian American. We don't believe in that. We're Caribbean women. We don't believe in like having multiple wives or what have you. And she kept wanting me to meet him. And the way she posed it was that he is like this powerhouse, amazing, you know, he's intelligent. She knew my background in psychology and public relations. I had studied abroad in London, England. I had traveled, you know, to many different countries by the time I was like 16, 17, because my parents were traveling all the time and they educated us that way. And then I was on the radio at the time in a small town, and that's where I met this young lady. And because I had just relocated from Atlanta, so I lived in Atlanta for years, Tasha, and that's where my activism started, where I became more like Black Power, like Dr. King, like, you know, and she knew that about me. So she took the opportunity to tell me about Dr. Umar. And when she brought him up to me, it was more like education, empowerment, things like that. And she knew that's what I liked. Some people feed off of our weaknesses, right? Or what we're attracted to. And fast forward, when I met him, automatically he was trying to eye me down, trying to be very, you know, sexual or what have you, made a couple of sexual advances. I'm a, you know, very nice, like, wait a minute, this is a powerful doctor, you know, what's going on here? And then after we met, we had pictures that night. It was such a great vibe. And I'm not gonna lie, he really impressed me with his knowledge, with his education, and especially talking about the young Black men and the boys and the ADHD and things like that. Because as a sister who cares, I was down with that. I already knew about that from Atlanta. I knew that more Black people needed to know about that in Florida, because Florida is very racist and a lot of kids fall through the cracks. So that right there was everything for me. Fast forward, this man, our first conversation was basically like, I'm gonna F you. I don't know what I could say on your show. And
yeah, you can say
I'm gonna fuck you, and you're gonna be my fuck person in your town because I travel a whole lot. And I was like, well, you're not, because I was like, you're good looking and everything, but I said you had never met me before, and I will do the fucking around here. And on top,
I'm gonna do the fucking around here.
That you're not gonna just come around and do whatever you think you're gonna do to me at all. Like, it doesn't go like that. And then he laughed and he was like, damn, like, you got a real one, you know? Because he didn't know from Brooklyn originally, so Brooklyn in the house. And so after that, we talked a few times, but it kind of dissolved because I wasn't gonna give him any play. And then I found out that the sister that introduced me literally had slept with him and was trying to push me on him. And then she left the community we were in to join a polygamous community. And I think, because she never said his name at the time, she gave up her husband, she gave up her house, she gave up everything to move away to like the Philly area, if that says anything. And she gave up everything to be like a third, fourth, fifth wife or whatever it was. I was shook.
So you've heard that. She found out that the lady that introduced Umar to her allegedly left her own husband. Sense, because if that's what Dr. Umar did and that was his approach towards you, then how do you and Dr. Umar still be cool? Because
or queens.
What was going on in his past, real quick?
It's because I knew he was never going to settle down. I knew of his past. I knew a lot of things. So I was
what
even
you know from his
flex.
past. What was going on in his past, real quick?
Ooh, well, Umar had a plethora of women. Like I stated, I knew about that young sister who was older than me, actually. And then I knew about, remember back in the day, he had the video, Hoochie Mama, that he was sleeping with, and it came out all over the, I don't know if you remember that. In Atlanta, that's when I heard it off of Hot 106 or V106.
And he was sleeping with a Hoochie Mama.
She was on the videos and twerking and popping and all of that back in the day. She was called like the video vixen or something. Like, I don't even remember her name. I was so hurt by that because I was like, not because it affected me because I was sleeping with him, but it was like, how you a Pan-African is educator and you're doing all this for the quote unquote kids, but you're sleeping around with strippers. She was a stripper. And she was like in all the videos before this whole like
not the black woman is God.
Oh,
or
Lord.
queen.
The black
that
woman.
part, Tasha.
Go ahead. So, let's go back to you being the wife. So he asking you to marry him and stuff. So
yeah. So we got into that relationship thing. We in that school, you know, in the gym part of the school, I'm helping clean up, but I was talking more or so to the women that he had me on live talking to, because I didn't know I was on live at first. And I'm just walking around with the Windex helping him clean up and stuff. Cause I'm like, women, you know, we should be there for our men and just be strong and dedicated and, you know, empowered, because I'm married to an African brother myself. And he has taught me a lot. I know you're married to an African brother, and it's all about being like a family unit. And I like that, actually, you know, being like kind of subservient, but not like submissive, but just doing the role of husband and wife thing. And so that's where I was coming from that angle. But he got serious and he kept talking more about relationships and then about me being one of the two wives. And I'm like, Umar, you bugging? Like, it was all on live and there were comments flooding. We got like almost 100,000 hits on that. And I'm like, oh my God, people started DMing me and everything.
So again, guys, that's a little odd. So you say the guy is a womanizer.
You stop. What's up, the negotiator? What's up, brother?
Yo, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. What's up? What do you think about this shit?
Yo, like I said in the chat, I think it's just fake outrage that she was trying to promote her little show. You saw that little poster board thing behind her head?
Yeah. She was advertising her show. She had her channel up, her Instagram.
And you see, and why can't people admit that some of these women, there's some mental disconnect there, that they're trying to insinuate that he's being a predator to them when they're the one who goes after him.
Right.
In my opinion.
Well, my thing is they continuously, I don't understand how if this man offended you, you continue to talk to him. That doesn't make any sense.
Because she was trying to see what kind of clout she could gain from saying, oh, I got a direct line to Umar Johnson. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, some people like to flaunt their connections so that they can build up their own, I guess, platform up. So I think that's what she was trying to do. But then she realized that Umar don't got that kind of pull that she thinks he has.
Yeah, he really don't. I mean, he's basically a social media figure. I would not say much more than that because he hadn't really accomplished much outside of that. You know, my position is that Umar makes YouTube news, or he goes viral for non-related issues about the school. And that's the only news he should be making is about the school itself or its ability to open. And it's basically everything but that. And that's just really what it boils down to. What's up, Queen?
Hello, how are you?
What's going on, girl? What's up?
Umar, where the school at?
The school is opening when the sun burns out. Respectfully.
This is what he made the news. This is what he's trending for every non-related educational reasons. You know, this lady held this story. This story happened like what, a year or two ago. Now it's finally coming out. Like, why now?
Because she got a platform now. So now it benefits her to tell her story. See?
Yeah, but it sound a little sketchy to you.
No, because Umar a hoe. He be fucking strippers and shit. It's like he fucked that old ugly fat ass woman because ain't nobody gonna believe her because of the way she look. Umar know what
Come on, man. Yeah,
Umar know what he be doing. That's why he was over there proposing to that stripper and stuff and acting like I don't know that. I know we was praying at midnight. Yeah, okay, Umar. Whatever you say.
That stripper look good though.
Yeah, but she's a stripper, so she's not credible because she's a stripper, and she's not credible because she looked like a dark skinned Miss Piggy.
Wait, what? Was she not credible because she's a stripper? What's that?
Yeah, she's not credible because she's a stripper.
Come on. She had
What?
to text messages.
Yeah, but you know, people still was like, she's a stripper, so you know, it don't matter. She was a stripper.
Damn, Queen. Like, really?
What? Wait, we gonna tell the truth, okay?
No, I mean I get it, but the fact of the matter is that she showed receipts though.
I see what she's trying to say.
Yeah, I understand. She showed receipts and all of that good stuff, and still didn't nobody care because she was a stripper.
Well,
You
I
know.
mean, a lot of people ate it up. They was on that shit.
I mean, of course, people like drama, but people still give Umar money, so you know, to trick off with them hoes, you know.
Yeah, you said that right. They definitely hoes. Why can't it just be loudmouth crackling heifers?
No, I'm talking about Umar. Umar is the hoe here.
No, he's not the hoe. See, you always want to blame the man. These heifers.
No, Umar is the hoe.
You
here,
left your
okay?
husband for another dude. You a heifer.
Oh, well, you know.
Big, fat, greedy, grass-eating heifer.
Grass eating.
Yeah, that's what a heifer is. A heifer's a cow.
You can't be eating grass. Never mind.
Grass
Never mind.
fed. You can fill in the place, guys.
But you know, Tasha K, man, this is Tasha K, man. You know what I'm saying? Uh-oh, Will Lock here. What's up, we?
The Umar defense team has arrived.
Oh, go ahead. I'm willing to listen to you. Go ahead.
You motherfucking right.
Omar didn't do nothing wrong
No,
in
I'm
this
just
case.
here, just listening. I'm just listening. That's all.
No. This was your content. I got this from you. And by the way, Tiff Griff says she coming up in a little bit.
Umar,
No,
Where
these
the school at?
entrapment. These are entrapment 304s. I'm trying
Yeah.
to keep it
Where,
PG.
okay,
man.
but where the school at? Well, he got all the hoes, but he got no
Well,
school. He got
because
a
they
stable.
keep taking his money. Every time he think he got found himself a good black woman, they done took all his money. He keep trying to invest into the right woman, and y'all keep taking his money. That's
Well,
what's
he needs
wrong.
to leave them hoes alone and
This
worry
is
about
not
his
Umar's
school.
fault. This is the heifer's fault.
Staying here.
When Stevie Wonder's hair comes
You
back.
still staying in this worthless sector? You still staying here in this worthless sector? We ain't got nothing else to talk about other than Umar.
Just because I'm doing
What the hell's going on?
You could do better than that.
I'm not in the Umar sector.
Umar is a victim.
Do better than
I'm
what?
fucking with you.
Umar is a victim of his own penis. We need to help him.
What's your
he's not a
solution
victim,
for helping him? He is a victim.
No, he
Huh?
isn't.
We need to help him by not giving him no more donations.
She threw all her wild, feminine and wiles at him, and he couldn't resist. I mean, it's not his fault. She knew what she was doing.
And so did he.
These women got me conditioned this way.
You went live and said more lies and lies. So what is the more lies and lies? We're locked. Are you
We're
there,
listening.
Man? No, I'm asking you a question. What are the more lies and lies?
Hold on. It might be a problem with I'll be right back. Don't go.
Okay, just come back.
You can't look at TK's eyes and see the lie that she telling. Look at them dark rings around her eyes. That's the eyes of a liar.
Ain't no more crazy shit out there considering she owed $4 million.
She got rings around her eyes. She's a liar. She's an angry, bitter, scorned liar.
Who? TK?
I didn't say that. I just said TK.
Oh, TK?
Yes,
well, I mean, we know that after all that she did with Cardi B, we know that, but I don't think she in a position to be running no more.
It don't matter because you got to understand the mindset of a heifer.
Oh, TK a heifer too?
She ain't dead yet, so she got to keep going.
TK a heifer too?
Yeah, she's a heifer.
Oh, okay. But where the school at? Cause we see all his stable. His stable is coming out.
He got a building.
He's had several buildings.
And he tried to get these sisters to support him, and they just will not support him correctly. That's all that's wrong.
Well, you know, Umar got me blocked on all his social media.
You can't go around harassing people, man. That's not cool.
I don't harass. I ask important questions, and he don't want to answer my questions, so he blocked me every time he see my ass.
So, what were the questions you were asking him?
Well, first I was asking him about his pedophile stance, and he didn't like that question. And then I was asking him where the school was at, because I used to call the realtors and ask questions. And then when he would do an interview, I'd be in the chat asking questions. They used to time me out. So he don't block me everywhere. He don't want me asking him nothing. Okay.
All right, I can hear y'all better. Cool. So,
go ahead, brother.
No, it's quite amazing that every day I just hear nothing but Umar content, and Umar doesn't really do content. He doesn't even have a channel. But every time he wants to express
his
something,
IG is content, technically.
Well,
yeah, didn't he say Sukiana wanted to fuck him over there on his TikTok?
Content.
Technically,
Yeah, he got a TikTok up there where he done edited.
YouTube. All you do is focus on YouTube, and all you do is focus on.
I just said that he goes live on IG every day.
Whatever he does and whatever he's going to do, y'all always are interested in just firing up your fucking live streams and don't even do nothing.
How many years
bullshit ass content? That's
He
all you ever do.
he got an edited video over there on TikTok with Sukiana, and he talking about how Sukiana want to give him the cooch.
Matter any? What have you done in your fucking lives to ever matter any?
What has he done?
Done more than your punk ass.
Like what?
Wow. Oh wow.
Like what?
Oh wow.
Explain.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Wait, who did that?
Thanks for proving my point.
Who did it? Who did that?
The proof is in the pudding.
Who did that? Because I thought it was only one chick on the panel. Who up here acting like a hoe? Who did that?
Sound like you.
Oh, ain't nobody gonna claim it. Oh, okay.
Oh no, you claiming it right now.
I'm just making something.
You claiming it
I
right
thought
now.
it was some hoes on the panel. It's some hoes in the house. It's some hoes.
Is this what we doing, D?
Hey man, you can't
The
look.
sector is dead.
Woo!
I'm not in the sector.
The sector is dead. Why are you still in the sector, bro?
I'm not in the sector. What are you talking about?
Why are you doing?
Just because we're talking about Umar doesn't mean it's sector
you can
related.
do whatever you want to do. But
Umar
again,
is a national meme right now.
Oh, we don't like. We in the same.
Out of all the things to talk about, Umar's the only content.
Wait a minute, but you just did
recent.
content on.
What are you
It's
talking
a hot
about?
topic. It's a hot topic.
Yeah, it's a hot topic.
What are we talking about?
Today, we. Come on, brother.
You're supposed
Why
to
you acting stupid or are
You did the same thing I did.
Coach D, what were the mistakes of Mr. Johnson? Say please.
Step aside for a second.
No, you playing with the wrong one.
Out of all the shit in the world to talk about, Umar is your only content. Well, let's see. We can talk about how the president ain't doing shit for the country. We could talk about AI. We could be talking about the economy collapsing.
Oh damn!
Us being in a recession of the recession.
But you can tell what kind of content you can put out.
We're talking about Umar eating an ice cream bar. Umar fucking hoes, which he is single.
Umar should be eating he should not be eating no ice cream bars unless they Slim Fast ice cream bars. That's the only ones he should be eating.
D-Rail, you didn't have no business talk about Umar on your channel that you create content on. You ain't got no business. Okay.
I only do that because number one, I want to, and because number two, it's irrelevant. What have you ever done, sweetheart?
Who you talking to?
Oh, you don't want no one else do. You don't want no one else infringing on the content. Oh,
who you talking to?
Oh, okay.
Exactly. Look, this is beyond my dignity. This is beyond my health.
Lies.
My
you click the link.
You cool. I'll hit you up later. in the meantime, in between time, all y'all kiss my ass, suck the back of my ass. But
come on, real lock. Come on, man.
The back of his ass. I didn't. We so men defend men like that. That's
we all
normal.
know he wants to kiss Umar's ass. Oh,
I mean,
he's always doing that.
Good, like Campbell soup.
Now I don't understand how you want to talk about like. I used his content yesterday to do the show today, and then he went live on Umar again today. But will say that I'm back in the Umar sector doing. No, I'm not. You created this content.
Umar doesn't have a sector. The Umar sector. Oh gosh, get your busy. The Umar sector.
You haven't noticed that we
Peace, love, and
delay.
blesses my cornbread fed brothers and sisters.
He's back. We don't like came back.
Oh,
what's up, brother?
Hey, Paul, the sector's dead. The sector's dead. Sector is dead. Bury it.
What the hell?
Hey, you better up the watches, man. Don't do that.
Wow. That's Umar's #1 supporter, guys.
So, you did a video this morning, didn't you, about diagnosing things on the internet, right?
Oh God.
What is this psychosis, Coach D? What is this psychosis? What's Umar Johnson psychosis? Other than cocaine.
Them hoes. Umar like them hoes. He got ho
Hey, I speak on that.
Yeah, Umar has childish personality disorder.
I cannot speak.
No.
Umar's a thought, and there's nothing wrong with being a thought, but he's a thought.
But you also know cocoa also is a mood altering drug too, right?
What's a mood altering drug?
Cocaine, man.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Oh yeah. Allegedly.
I don't know, man. Sometimes
I got that video somewhere on my YouTube channel.
Allegedly, before you get sued by his white lawyer.
My brother.
No, I got the video somewhere on my channel where he was lying to the neighborhood pharmacist. It was the scene, and he rubbed his nose with the sniff. You know, I got the video.
Allegedly.
Oh,
allegedly. I'm just describing what happened in the video. Allegedly.
Y'all silly, man. All I'm gonna say is this: he every now and then. This is like how many times is he gonna get in a scandal about women? This is the multiple times this shit has happened. Every now and then he constantly going viral or trending over shit that's not related to opening the school. That's the problem.
Well, the problem started when he started talking about relationships instead of sticking to the psychology of young black boys. That's where all the nonsense started with Umar.
Yeah.
Umar was cool till he got hooked up with Sarnetta and them.
I thought it came from him.
He did, but he was in the back of that bookstore in Harlem. But then when they brought his ass over to YouTube and put him on that debate circuit, that's when Umar just went crazy.
But you know what? Umar proved the Kevin Samuels
I think
theory.
Umar was always crazy.
When Umar was dressed up, right, with a suit and looked presentable, people took him seriously. But the next minute he walking around with a red cap on, with a big old C on the top, and you like
because he was in a suit.
Who is this dude?
We can all talk about that, but the biggest thing is the school gonna fucking open? Until that happens,
it's not gonna open. It's not gonna open.
So if the school opened, all this other stuff would be irrelevant, and that's the issue that the supporters don't understand.
Because he's taking the money and tricking with them hoes.
I wouldn't go that far, but I will say that maybe he got a little bit out of his head. I think he should have already had a plan in place before accepting a plan in place. In other words, usually I look at it this way, dude, if you got a plan, all you got to do is stick to the plan that you've written. Because I would assume that the person who writes a plan, you've looked over your plan a few times, right? Right. And all you need to do from that point, so you don't deviate into any other methods, stick to the plan that you've written down. That's supposed to be your guiding light, is that plan that you have written down. I don't believe this man has ever had a plan. He's had an idea, but not a written plan.
And I can't really debate you on that because it's obviously because there's no progress with whatever he's trying to do. And like I stated, when I start like going in on his flaws, like to me, he shouldn't have never bought that building. And when he bought the building, that's when the pressure intensified. And at this point, you bought the building in what, 2018? Or I think it was 17 or
2019.
2008. Yes, 18.
No, 2019.
Huh?
It was 2019.
Oh, 19. Okay, he bought the school basically 4 years ago. And there has not been any progress in 4 years. It's the same shit.
But that's by design, though. He doesn't really care about the school. It's
Well,
just
we
a
don't
front
know that.
for whatever the hell else he's doing.
I simply think he don't know what he's doing, and he's a bad business.
Nah, I think he knows exactly what he's doing, and this is what is the result.
So you saying that are you saying that you believe that his intent was from the beginning what he started out with, what we saw all along?
Yeah, I really think
that building is a representation of his mind state.
But in that, Umar got
I think he
overwhelmed.
deviated some kind of way.
And he got overwhelmed, and he didn't get help, and he started going all over the place, and he don't understand business.
Now I will say this here, D, is that if you've been watching this stuff, watching him for a while, you've seen some of his developments, right? You see where he came out. The brother, like I said, he looked one way and then slowly looked like he transformed into something else.
Yeah.
You know, I have to question what transpired in his life to bring him from one course to another. I mean, from what we saw then to what we see now. I do believe that he had good intentions from the beginning. I don't know what happened.
He was done with school. Okay, he was making his money doing them debates, and you ain't got to put no suit on to do no debates. And then you over here with a bunch of black folk, okay, that's talking about, you know, the things that black people are entertained by. So he didn't have to put that suit on no more. But he also, and black folks like relationship conversations. They love it. So that's what his conversation started gravitating toward, and how single mothers is messing up their kids and stuff like that, because he was doing the school.
Right. But again, it goes to the fact that when we're talking about the legalities of opening a school, the corporation itself taking care of taxes, all of that stuff. When he talked about the financial mistakes that he made, like, that's when I knew he wasn't a good leader. Look, just because you major in a particular industry, don't mean you're going to be good at operating as a business, as the owner of a business. Just because you have a doctoral degree in psychology, or you have master's degrees in education and been a school psychologist or a school principal, don't mean that you can successfully operate a school. And that's what he found out.
To add on to what you're saying, and that makes a lot of sense, D. Again, for me, it stands on the fact of having a plan, because if you had a plan and you were serious about what you're doing, someone like you would have looked over it and would have probably given them very similar advice. See, you can have in other words, he makes a damn good spokesperson, as we can see online. He's a great spokesman, right? And that could have just been his place in the operations, being the spokesman.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I'll rest it there.
I'm gonna say this. He could have had a plan, but if it was a bad plan, what difference does it make? It has to be a good plan. It has to be a realistic plan, a logical plan.
But if someone like yourself would have looked at it, you would have probably given him similar advice. And if he did have a plan, and somebody came along, looked over it, who was serious, saw that plan, they had already given him advice. That's how I see it. That's just how I see it.
And see, that's the problem in which he was criticized throughout these years, is the fact that
as you can see, we're having technical difficulties.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So because he didn't do that, that's the position he's in.
Yeah, that was the other thing.
You have to have help, man. No matter what you're doing, you have to have help, and you have to have the assistance of other people's
expertise. You can't do it all by yourself.
Right. True.
You can't, man.
He didn't have nobody. You would ask him questions about, what he doing with the money? Where's the board? I remember he was telling everybody to send emails if they wanted to work at the school.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, he sent out resumes and all that kind of stuff. But my position is,
that's a great way of scouting. While keep in mind, I mean, just being a spokesman.
But the thing about that was premature.
Very premature.
What are you doing sending out resumes unless your school if your school has not passed inspections and has been given a stamp of approval from the board of regents or the state? You have no business sending out resumes for people to work there until you get those things. He actually just talked about, I think this was in December or January, about having the occupancy licenses and the HVAC completed. So how the hell are you going to send out resumes and stuff if you don't even have the basics? You have to have the fundamental things taken care of when you're
operating. The building has to be in operations. And
that was like 12 years ago. He was telling people to send their resume to his email address.
And from experience, I will tell you this here: operating a building, you can't do that shit by yourself. If you try to run a facility, you can't do it by yourself.
Well, I'm gonna say this again. He's and then also, he's not a good businessman. Obviously, he does not understand how to operate a business, how to properly appropriate funds for a budget. He doesn't understand all the nuances of a school, of an educational project per se. Now, what he's good at is if somebody already took care of that and they hired him as a principal or a school psychologist, he'll go in and handle that role. But that's a difference between doing that.
Good point.
There's a difference, and he's not a good administrator.
And you still could have been successful in your ambition.
Right. Exactly. And so
he didn't want nobody to help him. Umar got too much ego. He wanted to say he did it all by himself.
You're right.
What a multitude of us do.
He said it several times.
I can do it all by myself. I can paint. I can do the music. I can do everything by myself.
And you know what? At one time, Queen, I would argue people about that. But now I'm like, no. I wholeheartedly agree. He wants to do all this shit by himself when basically no one has opened up a school by themselves. No one has opened up a school unless they've had people who have other specialties that are actually better at doing certain things. I'm talking about the curriculum. I'm talking about the building, the maintenance. I'm talking about the products you're gonna need, the books and all that kind of stuff. All the organizational aspects, the rules and regulations, policies, and all that stuff. There are people who specialize in those things, and you can't do all of that by yourself.
Yeah, you're right. You're darn so right, man.
And so
you're right about that part. Dang.
Yeah, like you can't do that. But man, listen, and I've talked to people because I've done my research on opening up schools like this, or a charter school or a private school. Man, it takes at least $3 to $4 million to get in the game, on top of having a $2 to $3 million a year budget to operate a school like that.
But to add on to what you're saying, just to the book part, you can't just select any books you want to put in, especially if you want to be accredited.
Right.
There's certain books that you're gonna have to have, be it you like it or not, if you want to have some type of state accreditation or type of national accreditation.
He said he don't want no government involvement.
You're just gonna have to accept
in his school.
Well, the government involvement is he has to abide by federal guidelines no matter what. Now, when he's talking about federal involvement, he don't want to accept state money, because if you accept state money, you're gonna have to abide by state guidelines. But you don't have to follow state guidelines. You have to follow federal guidelines. And so you can bypass the state by not accepting money. But the problem is your behavior has affected your ability to receive the help that you need. And the fact that, and I know this for a fact, Umar has turned down millions of dollars in help and resources.
Mm-hmm.
for various reasons that I don't even want to get into today because that's a whole other show. But he's turned down help. That's his fault. Right, his ego. Yeah, he does this. A lady 747. You're correct. He did say he's not seeking state accreditation, but you do have to follow federal guidelines.
I didn't know that.
You have to follow. Like, say for instance, if you're in a high school, you're gonna have to teach American history. You're gonna have to teach physics. You're gonna have to have four classes of English, three classes of mathematics. You know, you got to have so many signs. You have to follow that no matter what. You can't deviate from federal guidelines. You know, so he has to do that. But the problem is that, again, huh?
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I thought I was on mute.
Yeah, it involves a team effort of people who are experts at what they do. As it involves all domains of operating a school, and that's the issue. You know, you're gonna be handling the money, handling, you know, as far as purchasing and all that kind of stuff, and transportation. You know, the medical side of it, having school nurses and all that stuff. You know, you have to have all of that stuff. You can't do that by yourself. You know, I mean, like on your look, have you ever done YouTube content? Have you ever done Umar content before, Locast?
Yeah, one time.
About what?
One time, it was I can't remember, but it was basically in defense of something that was going on with Umar Johnson.
Was it a scandal or was it something?
At this point, bro, 4 years later, I can't remember, but I know it got back to him, and he posted it on his Twitter.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
And he put you in the book of Negroes if he don't like what you say.
Yes. Lowcast is written in the book of Negroes.
Yeah,
you
man.
can find my name.
but see, I'm gonna say this, man, and I'm speaking because I met Umar 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
I met Umar in 2014. I met him in 2017, and I met him in 21.
Okay. What was he like?
He was cool, man. He was now the first time I met him, I didn't really like meet him. I was just kind of like just because I basically learned about Umar from one of my clients, that she had a son that had some behavioral issues, and she had asked me, "Do you know of a guy named Umar Johnson?" And I because I was telling her about, you know, medications and stuff, and, you know, not necessarily going all in to put her son on meds. And then she was like, "Oh, you remind me of this, you know, guy. You kind of said some similar stuff that he was saying about ADHD medication, right?" And so she said, "You need to go check him out on YouTube." And then she said he's going to be in Houston at the Shrine of the Black Madonna in about a month or two. Go check him out. So I checked out the YouTube videos, and again, you know, I saw him on there, you know, with Sonetta and all. And then he did like little speeches and stuff, and I was like, okay, he's cool. I like what he's saying, you know. Then I saw him, you know, do the speech in 14. I think it was like September, October of 14, and I liked his content. I was supporting.
Now let me ask you this question.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. You were still.
Oh, go ahead.
ADHD. Based on your knowledge of it, do you see that as a legitimate disorder?
I do see it as a legitimate disorder, but it's overly diagnosed. It's highly overly diagnosed. That's what I see it as. And what most people think is ADHD, because see, most people think ADHD is merely a kid that can't be still and it's bad behavior. And in reality, ADHD is not about bad behavior. ADHD is about impulsiveness, inattentiveness, and hyperactivity, all in combination or exclusive. But depending on or the kid's behavior, he or she's behavior. And so people think the kids with ADHD just rule breaking, they disrespectful, even though that is symptomatic of that. But mainly kids with those type of disorders have an inability to function. They basically can't function in a school classroom.
Mm-hmm.
That's really where most kids get their diagnosis. They don't usually get the diagnosis because of their experience, their behavior at home. They get it because the schools are unable to have a setting that is that is effective in managing their behavior. So because their behavior is unmanageable, that people feel like medication should be given at will to kids like that, and that shouldn't be the case. Because you can manage ADHD without medication. You can't. Now, I'm not gonna say it's gonna work for everybody, but it can be done.
So
It all depends on.
what are some examples of how some people can manage ADHD without medication or prescriptions? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, can you start over again? Yes. Can you start over again, please?
Hear me now? Okay.
He's bored. Can't hear anything he's saying.
Hold on 1 second. Damn. I'm in a.
Yeah. Could you put your phone on Wi-Fi where you're at? On this Wi-Fi connection? On the Wi-Fi connection? You borging in. You borging in and out.
Yeah. Hold on for a second.
Sure. All right, guys. So right now we're talking about Umar Johnson, but currently we're speaking about ADHD. And I was asking Coach D, is there any way that someone can manage ADHD without a prescription?
Are we good now?
For the moment, yes, we are.
Okay, all right. So the first thing I would look at is the child's diet. You want to limit sugar and unhealthy foods, particularly things that are sugary, things that can increase hyperactivity, things of that sort. That's the first thing I would do. The second thing I would incorporate is the kid participating in a lot of productive activities that involve movement, whether it's exercise, sports, anything that involves a lot of movement. Allow that child to be able to move, allow them to play, allow them to participate in effective team, either it's team or individual activities. Okay. Kids like that like to move around. They like to do things. And to me, kids should not be penalized because they like to move around and they like to engage in activities. And so the issue is that these kids want to do these things in a classroom setting,
I believe you were trying to say restricted.
You incorporate.
You're borging again, sir.
Okay. I don't know why I'm borging.
I'll give you a tip. If you're moving around a lot with a cell phone connection, you're gonna borg.
Second. But can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. So things like that, as far as sugar intake, exercise, those are two of the important things. And also, as it involves parenting, you have to be consistent with the parenting. Consistent parenting that involves rewards and punishments that are going to be, that they have to be consistent, and they have to be in a way in which it encourages the child to behave accordingly. And a lot of a lot of kids that I've encountered with issues with ADHD, they had a lot of it was a product of bad parenting. You know, so a lot of times this bad parenting presents itself in many ways as if a child has hyperactivity and inattentiveness. Is just because they probably inattentive because they never were raised to pay attention.
Yeah,
and that's an issue. And so proper parenting, consistent parenting, open communication, all of those things. Now, I'm not going to say that can be beneficial for all kids, because I do think there is a place for medication in treating these kids. I just don't think that it should be the primary. It shouldn't be the primary choice. You know, it shouldn't be the primary choice, and it also shouldn't be the most. It shouldn't be like you thinking medication is supposed to cure everything, and medication is not a cure. Medication is a means of managing it. And so people have been overly dependent, thinking medication is the be all end all, and it's not.
Now, you know what you kind of described? What you kind of described right here, unknowingly? Child rearing. Proper child rearing.
Right.
Because when you think about it, I mean, like when I was growing up, I wouldn't lie. I had to be careful about how much candy because I used to, well, still do. Can be
you there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Like even when I was growing up, for me, I could be hyperactive. Too much candy, too much of the wrong stuff, I could fly off on the rails. So just hyper. But at the same time, it would also it would also hinder me from being able to focus, to gain concentration.
Right.
Which one comes first, focus or concentration? Which one comes first?
They're interchangeable.
Okay, they are. All right.
They're basically interchangeable.
And those type of things, like growing up, those type of things would, create little problems in your life, especially in school. I think it's part of the reason why I kind of can identify with a lot of the things, with some of the things that Umar would speak about, right? Because I'm like, okay, I recognize that with me. And then you're like, also growing up, single parent. Yeah. I can kind of identify with that too, right?
Right.
But when you look at it now, even when I look at it now, when I see friends of mine and their children and their friends' children, you can kind of see the correlations where you see where a lot of the single parenting does have a toll or does shape the life of the child,
Right.
And most of the time, usually if you got a single parent, child's hungry, you busy, the way I look at it, a single parent, usually a responsible single parent doesn't have time.
Or they don't have enough time.
Yeah, they don't have enough time.
And so
sometimes in the process, those children end up having to taking on bad diets because of what the parents are willing to give them sometimes just to substitute a proper meal.
Right. So I'm gonna say this, and this is something that because when we look at the research, particularly with African American kids diagnosed with ADHD, which to me, since the manosphere don't like to talk about issues of Black boys, which was something I tried to talk about when I first came here, is that there's an extreme overdiagnosing of young Black males with ADHD and ADD. And many of those kids, like I remember my first job after I graduated with a psych degree, I worked at a counseling agency, and a lot of the kids that I worked with doing case management and different activities and stuff, and I was supervised by a licensed clinician at the time before I became licensed. A lot of those kids all came from similar backgrounds. They were poor. Okay. A lot of them did not know who their dad was. or they rarely see them. They came from poverty. They came from poverty. They didn't have dads. A lot of, I'd say 80% of them did not have fathers. Their moms either were not working or they were overly working to try to make up from, things that were, that they were lacking in the household. She was stressed out, overwhelmed, and they had multiple children, too many children. This was a commonality that I saw. And they lived in bad they lived in bad neighborhoods. This is like almost 80% of my kids grew up in that kind of situation.
Yeah,
and
that does have an effect on the child.
Yeah, and it has an effect on children, and a lot of these kids were mad and angry. Particularly, the kids who were the worst were the ones who actually had good experiences with their dad, and their dad left at some point. Like, say they were like, they knew their dad up until they was like 7 or 8. Then the dad divorced the mom and never came back or just left abruptly. Those were the worst, that actually knew what it felt like to have a good dad. And then all of a sudden he took off and never came back. Those were the worst. They had a very, very difficult time coping with that. So that's the reality of it. Look, listen, do I think it is a legitimate? I think it is a legitimate diagnosis. I just think that it's overly diagnosed. Just like right now, to me, Asperger's. I'm saying Asperger's. I'm talking about autism spectrum disorder, which a lot of people like to say somebody on the spectrum. They get that from that. It's overly diagnosed. When I was in school studying autism, it was like 1 in 10,000, 1 in 12,000. It was like very rare. Now you look in the schools, you see all kind of kids being diagnosed with autistic spectrum disorder. That shit is ridiculous. And that's a behavioral disorder. That's a pervasive. It's a different type. But a lot of kids that have autism may have ADHD or ADD also, and among other things too. But there's always a trend. It's just like on social media when everybody think they can diagnose somebody with narcissism. There's always something trendy where people think that everybody got this, and that's just not the case. It's just not the case, and it's saturated. And I always question the saturation of certain illnesses, because people just slap something, like listen, just because somebody gave you a diagnosis don't mean it's a matter of fact. There is such thing as misdiagnosing. Just like this ignorant lady loudmouth lady, initials of VA. I'm not gonna say her name because she may go crazy right now because she out of control all the time. She was arguing with me about comorbidity of disorders and stuff, and I tried to explain to her what she read, put it into context, and I was trying to tell her, you read this, it said that, yeah, but you have to understand that when it is being applied in the real clinical setting, this is rare. This is not, even though a person did research on that, they didn't take into fact other aspects that can happen, and the fact that in a setting, nobody's going to diagnose people like this a certain way. I'm not going to go into detail about it because some of the people in here may know what I'm talking about. And I was on somebody's platform the other night, and she brought this shit up, and it happened like 2 years ago when we argued. I'm like, who the hell bring up an argument that happened like 2 years ago and make a point to try to argue with somebody? And I'm like, lady, you're not a clinician. You're in no position to be arguing with me on anything. Like, stop. You know what I'm saying? But my position is that the DSM is not a perfect instrument.
What is the DSM? Just for those who may not know.
It's just a diagnostic statistical manual that basically comprises of mental illness, medical conditions, behavioral issues, and other neurological type or developmental things that can affect you mentally, and also may have some medical or substance abuse related effect. That's it. So it tells a lot of illnesses, and a lot of the stuff is neurological. Some of it's hereditary. Some of it is environmental, and things of that sort. It's just a litany of a host of different illnesses, and they have features, characteristics. It talks about the history of it, how it presents itself, the statistics as far as how many people are liable to be diagnosed with this, things like that, how it's being studied. That's basically it. And so they make mistakes. They revise it every 2 or 3 years. Like right now, we had the DSM-5. We're on the 5th edition. Now there's a TR, which is basically a revised version. The treatment revisions. There are all types of treatment revisions. That's gonna happen because as more and more research comes about, as more and more things evolve, people are going to change it and be better at finding out things that going to affect how people diagnose. So, you diagnosing somebody else can diagnose somebody with something totally different.
The reason why the reason why I even brought you to this point is because of my original assessment after listening and paying attention to how things are promoted to us. Right, and then listening to the kids tell you about how about the ADHD, or people say, "Well, this child has this problem and this disorder," right? And after a while, it makes you question: okay, if this many people have this, is that really a disorder? You know what I mean? It's one of those things. Is if the majority, if you got too many people having it, maybe that's a sense of normalcy that you're identifying. You know what I mean?
Well, I hear what you're saying, but you also got to look at how they're functioning with it. And to me, the more important thing, the way I have grown to mold my practice and how I do things. Look, I don't base the way I treat a client based on what they're diagnosed with. I base how I treat my clients, counseling wise, therapeutic wise, about as far as how functional they are, because there are kids who are highly functional with ADHD, and then they got kids who have more severe disorders that may have bipolar or major depression that are way less functional. So to me, it's more about the adaptability and functionality in the environment that you're in. So just because a kid is ADHD doesn't mean they're not functional. And to me, being functional is where you want them to be at. Most kids who are diagnosed with ADHD are not functional, but unless they have the assistance of medication and a combination of therapy. And so that's the difference. It'd be different if they were diagnosed with an illness, but they were functional with the illness. Then I think your position would have more credence, because even though they have this, they still have the ability to function effectively in their environments. And most kids diagnosed with that, they don't function well. They have poor grades, poor social skills, things like that. So that's the difference. What's up, Just Jay? What's up, baby?
Hey, how y'all doing?
I'm good.
Hey,
I'm good.
Just Jay, how you doing, man?
I'm okay. I just came to tap in with the convo. This is my
Yes,
kind of
ma'am.
stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I appreciate you as always being a professional in the field and being a part of the Black community. You know what I'm saying? You understand the nuances and the different things that go along with dealing with mental health, mental illnesses in our community. With that being said, the whole ADHD conversation, that amongst other illnesses and cognitive issues that people deal with, I find it interesting that since we always on the community, the Black community seems to shun things like ASAP. Like, we have a lot of myths.
Yeah,
Oh,
we do.
this don't exist, that don't exist. A lot of people won't even read up on stuff. They won't even educate themselves up on stuff. And then they say, oh, the doctor's just trying to push medication. My personal thing is, I think it's important to teach people how to advocate for themselves. You don't have to accept the prescription. If
You
you
sure
feel like
don't.
something is off, you can get a second opinion. You can get another diagnostic test, or you can get your
Right.
child or yourself screened by somebody else. To me, that's what's more important. We could talk about how big pharma just trying to come up on everybody and whatever. Like, okay, that's a part of the system. It is what it is. But I think it's furthermore vital and important to teach people how to advocate for themselves. A lot of times, a lot of these parents don't necessarily understand or know what's going on, depending on what demographic you're talking about, right?
Right,
So
right.
in that regard, as you know, D, sometimes they'll just go along with it because the doctor said it. This is what a lot of people do in general. Like even scratch the ADHD, they just go along with it.
That
Yeah,
is
that's really
true.
true. That's
That
true.
is
Very
true,
true.
You
especially in
know.
school, because schools
Mm-hmm.
try to schools. This is one of the reasons why I have issues with a lot of schools, and I don't go into schools like I used to, is because um, the schools will try to put. See, this is one of the reasons why I actually like Umar, because Umar actually talked about a lot of the negative influences of educators on kids, and they
Right.
would basically intimidate and try to force parents to put their kids on medication, and
And don't
they'll
get me
even go,
wrong. Go
yeah,
ahead. I'm sorry.
they'll even try to deny a kid education. Like if he don't do it, he can't come to school. Like there have been teachers and administrators who've actually tried to hinder kids from going to school unless they're on medication, and
And
that's actually denying that's against the law.
right. And so that's my thing. I think it's better for people to be educated on how to navigate, how to advocate, you know what I'm saying, in these
Right.
spaces because frankly, it ain't the damn teacher business whether or not your child on medication. And don't get me wrong, when it come to Umar, I rock with certain stuff he used to say back then or whatever, but Umar been on my shit list for years and it is what it is. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. You know, as far as I'm
Okay.
concerned, he could kiss my ass. I don't care. Yeah, you heard what I said.
Wait. No,
You heard what I said, lower cast.
no. What I want to know is why. Why? It without
Listen, I have.
without
It's
the
all about accountability. It's all about how you go about doing things. Even if this man had a board of directors, a group of people that would present information and say, "Hey, y'all, we know it's been a minute. We know a lot of y'all kids is damn grown now. We know a lot of y'all kids done went to college and they done missed the boat on what we was trying to do. But here's some documentation. This is where the expenses went. This is how we're accountable for all the donations we have been collecting over the years, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera." I'm just
Right.
saying it ain't what you do, it's how you do it. And what he be doing, all I see is a lifetime supply of dashikis and stripper money. Now, besides that, child, listen, I been gave up on that. My oldest is 21. I started following Umar when my oldest was around maybe 6 or 7. Yeah, yeah.
wow,
So, yeah,
man, he been around that
yeah.
long.
And
And
I'm
that's
not
the
saying that he
thing.
was there to save my child, you feel me? But I'm saying
No.
there's a
I'm
lot
not
of
even.
people. No, I
He
know,
missed
I'm
the
just
boat.
clarifying, babes. It's
They
just a
missed
lot
the
of people
boat.
that have poured into that because of what he was out here, you know, preaching and talking about. Now, I do feel like a lot of his information has gone off the rails. At one point in time, his rationale, the information he was producing was sound. It made sense, you know,
Right.
but I'm not sure what role he's swerving off on now. Maybe he misses calling as a comedian. I don't know. But as far as the whole ADHD thing, I just want some people to just get out of this mindset of all these myths and all this stuff because some of that stuff isn't accurate. You talking to somebody who ADHD is ever. I didn't know because my parents wasn't aware. They wasn't
Mhm.
thinking, oh, let me go get her checked or whatever. I just grew
Mhm.
up thinking I was stupid, but I'm not. I just learned different. And I'm still trying to tap into how I learn different. I'm kinesthetic and I'm visual, but there's also a cognitive thing that goes along with those processes. As you know, D, sometimes like I have to see stuff, but then also write it for it to lock in cognitively. You know what I'm saying? You know all
Mm.
them little neural pathways and all that shit. You feel
Yeah.
me? So
You
when
ever would test me for like dyslexia?
no, definitely not dyslexic, but I'm still I think it's some other stuff going on. I'll probably chat with you about that behind the scenes. But
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah, but not dyslexic, but yeah, it's just certain processes that just don't click as quote unquote normal people do when they deal with these sorts of things. Now, some people can cope, and like Dee said, some people are very high functioning. Some people might not even be
Yeah.
aware that they may be dealing with some of that stuff because they know how to work through that. Some
Right.
people deal with their ADHD through meditation. Some people deal with their ADHD through cutting out, like he said, sugars and stuff like that. Like for
Right.
people who have kids that may be hyperactive or whatever, they have a thing. I believe it's the Fango diet or whatever, but they used to talk about it a lot amongst the ADD
Okay.
community and the
What
forums.
is the Fango diet? What is that?
Well, I can't break it down to you in full because I never followed it. I'm just trying to
Just
give
give
you
me
a
a bit.
little bit of information. But I
Okay.
Yeah.
also put in the chat Attitude Magazine. It's spelled ADD Magazine. It's an awesome resource as well. It covers children and adults because you know a lot of adults get diagnosed later, especially like my generation and stuff, because they just didn't know what the hell was going on. And
Right.
and you got CHAD organization, children and adults with ADHD. Yeah, it's a lot of information out here where people come together that have some of these same issues. So I
Right.
just encourage people, you don't have to accept a prescription, but that
Nope.
also means don't be in denial. If you or your children need a certain support that requires something that you may not be okay with, just try to frame it in a different way. That's not even to say that people have to stay on medication for the rest of their life. Like it's
Right.
levels to this stuff. You know what I'm saying? We talking about,
Facts.
see, that's the thing. In the brain, we got chemical imbalances. But then we'll say, oh, I ain't taking them chemicals to help the chemical imbalance. Like I don't understand some things. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong,
Right.
it's side effects, et cetera, et cetera. Just educate yourself. Like that, I mean, you ain't got to pop pills. You ain't got to do everything the doctor say. I'm one of them people, I write down stuff before I go to the doctor. Because you know
Right.
some of them doctors will rush you up out of there. Because you know that for whatever reason, some doctors do take time, but in general they on the move. So sometimes
Right.
you'll kind of freeze and then you forget everything you gonna ask. I write down stuff, you know, and you ain't finna run me up out of here because I ain't gonna see you in a couple months anyway. Because I don't have no existing issues that need constant care. You know, but just just try to educate
Right.
yourselves, people, and just advocate for yourself. If something don't seem right, if a doctor give you a test, like let's say for instance, for yourself as an adult, low cash, you feel like you got some kind of cognitive thing going on. And this just an example. You go get a test and they say, okay, well, this is the diagnosis or diagnoses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you say, well, nah, and you're a pretty self-aware person, right? So you saying to yourself, nah, this don't really resonate that much. Nah, that don't really fit. I could see this part, but this part doesn't really fit. Find another doctor. Get another opinion. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we just feel stuck and we feel like we have to accept shit. You ain't got to accept nothing. You know, but I
You
just tell
sure
people
don't.
don't be in denial. You know what I'm saying? If
No, I
you
feel
or
you.
somebody is struggling, don't be ignorant. Like I keep saying, I got a friend that refused to take blood pressure medication. Her blood pressure be out of control. And she think that she could just eat beets and she gonna be all right. Nah, if your blood pressure is up in the 200s, you need to stop fucking playing. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
If I can't eat
yeah.
these beats,
Yeah.
child, I'll be all right.
I know a guy here that just had a stroke. He was in a coma for a month. This is somebody I talk to off and on where I live, and I hadn't heard from him for a while. So I was like, something must be wrong. I ain't heard
Oh.
from him. Fast forward months later, the dude had a stroke. He woke up in a coma up in Colorado. He didn't even know what the hell happened. He was in a coma for a whole month because of his blood pressure. This is somebody who used to go to the gym every day. He was bulked up, muscular. Oh, he had his smoothies, he had his proteins, all his little stuff. You feel me? Like this is somebody who was very active. And I think that if he hadn't had if he didn't work out the way he did, he probably would have died. Because I'm talking about he almost looked like a deflated balloon. Like he's lost so much weight, like he's weak. He had to learn how to walk. But he said he thought he could
Wow.
manage his blood pressure. You feel me? So all I'm saying is I just don't want us to remain ignorant.
Right.
Educate yourself, you know what I'm saying? Like do what you got to do.
Right.
And y'all know y'all bodies more than anyone, you know? But just don't be in denial. That's my little soapbox though. Because I see
Right.
people on YouTube all the time. Some of these people be bipolar, they be schizo as fuck, and people be telling them, "Oh, you need to stop taking that medicine." I'm like, that is very irresponsible. Like honestly, it pisses me off because a lot of times, as you know, when people have episodes, it's because they done came off their stuff. I don't know if D could hear me because he got a mute, but I just want him to kind of verify because I'm not a professional. I've just kind of been in the space and I no seriously because I don't play about that. I'm
Jay,
not one of the people.
Jay, you
What
good with me? You good with me? You just real. That's all.
but I still try to be mindful when it comes to that mental health stuff because I be hearing and seeing
Right.
a lot of shit and it's like it's not okay to be telling people not to take their medicine. You might think you know
Right.
them, but you don't know all the shit they be dealing with, and by the time you turn around, they gonna be spazzing out on your ass, and you gonna be trying to figure out what the hell happened because you done told them to stop taking that shit.
Can y'all hear me? Can y'all
I
hear
can
me?
hear you now. I couldn't hear you earlier.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm moving again. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead,
I
Lil
was
Cash.
asking you to back up what I was
How you
saying
gonna have a
about the not
show?
taking
Look,
medicine. Okay, go ahead,
Oh
Locast.
yeah,
I'm
no,
yeah.
no,
sorry.
sis, go
Like
ahead, go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Like as far as the medication thing, like the way I was trained, and I'm gonna be honest with you, like, and I'm glad I went to an HBCU because I was trained at that at the HBCU I went to Southern to focus on mental health in our community, and I was trained by therapists and licensed clinicians, and one was a psychologist that we focus on intervention, medication, last resort. That's how we were trained. Now, other institutions may not train that way. They may be more medication orientated or whatever, but I was trained not to look at medication as being the be all end all. So that's the framework I come from because we understood the inefficacy of how kids are being misdiagnosed because what it did was it kind of the issues of diagnosing particularly young black boys and also black girls too, but
Mm-hmm.
mainly looking at young black boys are 5 times more likely to be expelled, 3 times more likely to be suspended, put in special ed, all of those different things, getting 504 accommodations. And a lot of that is because of just being misdiagnosed, and you got teachers that don't want to deal with their behavior. It has nothing to do with mental illness or behavior disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the issue that our community has to deal with when we bring our children into these school environments.
Absolutely.
And I really think, and I'm gonna say this, I noticed something that happened during COVID. I noticed, like where I'm at, and some of the statistics show that during COVID, when kids were forced to have to stay home and be educated, it actually got better. That's something they don't want you. The education system don't want you to know that kids were actually doing better at home,
Really?
and that there were less suspensions. You had less kids getting into juvenile detention, going to court behind behavior. They were actually doing better at home than when they were at school. And they don't want you to. The education system. See, you got to be mindful of why they put out certain educational statistics that only show when we doing something bad, but they don't want to show that a lot of black kids made improvements while they was at home and consistently doing their work without having to deal with all of the other distractions that the school environment presents.
Quick question, D.
Yeah.
So I realize that either way, some people are just going to be against certain things. Like people are saying there is not a blood test for ADHD. I'm not sure how you would have a blood test for something that's cognitive anyway, but I
Now,
understand this person in the chat is a professional, right? But then somebody
a
tells me,
blood test for
okay,
ADHD?
no, they say there is no blood test. Basically saying like since there is no proof, basically, since you don't have a blood test, you don't have
Yeah, but
proof
but
of.
but see, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna go better than the blood test. You can get a neurological test for ADHD,
Thank you.
and that's even better. So you can do
That's
it through
all I'm on. I just don't like misinforming people. But and then somebody
right.
say, okay, well, it's not cognitive, it's behavioral. That's my thing. People have to educate themselves. People are gonna be dead set, and I don't know. These people, I think, are some of them are professionals or whatever in the chat or whatever. So
Right.
I don't assume, but like I said. I got ADHD. I'm well aware of how this frontal cortex works. Okay, so it is definitely cognitive. But ultimately, people are going to believe what they want to believe. If somebody isn't really open to it, they're not going to be wanting to see it anyway. I do think it's levels and outlaw. If you was a professional and you like just kick your whole license to the side, you got to do what's best for you, but I feel like it's a little unfortunate because you sound like someone who's well versed in the community, and as you already know, there's a shortage of such people. But I can imagine that there's a conflict, you know what I'm saying, when it comes, like sometimes people have a hard time like with their ethics and their morals, and it conflicts with,
Right,
you know what I'm saying, and
right.
I totally get that, right? And that's just based on the convo in the chat. I'm not gonna assume I know them, but you know, I did feel like, dang, that's kind of sad, you know, that they gave up they mental health license because they seem well versed in the community, you know. But I do think it's important to be open. It's definitely a cognitive issue. So yeah, you can't necessarily tell me about me, Mr. HM in the chat. I appreciate your feedback, but I definitely know how this brain works, and it's definitely a cognitive issue. We're not talking about kids that are being just misdiagnosed. You okay? So he said the diagnosis is behavioral. That's what D is saying about the misdiagnoses. People are basing it on behaviors, but ADHD is not solely based on behavior. And so that's my thing. I just feel like we got to be responsible with some of this information we giving out here. And when you cut out D, I was saying like some of the people on the internet, like they be bipolar, schizoid, or whatever, and people be telling them not to take their medication, and they stop taking their medicine. To me, that's
And
highly
to me,
irresponsible.
yeah, but I'm gonna tell you this, Just Jay. That's why I don't go in certain spaces anymore because I got tired of people trying to tell me how to be a therapist, and I'm like, and then the thing about it, I'm like in the top 1% as far as therapists, what they earn and what they do, and I'm at the top. I'm not like just tell me how you gonna tell me something I've been doing for over 20 years? Like it makes no sense. And the thing about it, and this is something that the field has come to grips with, we do appreciate that there are a lot of people that are educating themselves on mental illness. The problem is a lot of these people read these articles and they read these books and they think they can diagnose themselves better than I would or somebody else. And then they
Right.
think that they can tell you how to be a professional, and that's just not the case. And so what happens, they were talking about how like on TikTok and YouTube, how people come up and say, oh, I'm diagnosed with this and I'm diagnosed with that. And they
Hmm.
self-diagnosing themselves based on something that they read. And some of these
Yeah.
diagnoses, like for instance, there are a bunch of people who diagnosed, I've seen this on TikTok, they're saying that they're diagnosed with autism, right? Now, they don't even understand that a true autistic person would not even be confident enough to go on camera and express themselves in that manner to even say that.
Definitely
Autistic people are not
not.
I didn't know that. Let
autistic.
me ask you this question, D.
Yeah.
Based on what you're saying, isn't there a diagnosis for those type of people who go around self-diagnosing themselves?
I almost said something
I'm gonna
stupid, but
say,
this is a serious conversation. I'm sorry.
yeah.
No, but
I'm
real
gonna say
question,
this.
isn't there a
Yeah,
diagnosis
yeah.
for that?
Let me get to that. Let me explain. Okay, there kind of is, but it isn't. Now, there is a um a diagnosis of a malingering disorder, which basically somebody is faking or pretending to be something, pretending to be ill or pretending to be a certain illness, but that's not what they're doing though. They
Hmm.
so but technically there's really not now what it could be. Low cast is a function of other types of mental illness other than what they're saying they're diagnosed with that led them to do that. It could be a function of something else. Maybe
Would you
not what
mean
they
like
say.
attention seeking behaviors or something, D? Is that kind of what you mean?
Okay. It could be a sign of somebody who's borderline, who's a
That
seeking
was my
attention,
thought.
or it could be the sign of somebody being manic at the time, and they don't. I
Right.
don't know. See, I would have to see. That's why I
And that's
can't.
what's tricky.
You would
Yes,
have to
see,
sit
that's what I'm
down and
saying. You
actually
have to
evaluate that
really
person.
sit there. You have to really sit there and assist them face to face to make that determination. But it could be actually people going up there, going on YouTube saying this, or particularly TikTok, because that was actually the main focus. That it's a major issue on TikTok. And, and
Hmm.
and and so what we're trying to do is we're trying to not discourage people from educating themselves on mental illness. We just want them to understand that
Right.
you have to understand your limitations, and that don't think that like you going about and I'm actually going to do a test. I'm going to do a test to prove to you all how misdiagnosing is done. And I came up with I came up with a way I'm gonna do it, and then I'm going to present it, and I'm going to see how people respond, and I'm going to prove how people who think that they self-diagnosing, they don't really understand the craft itself. And I'm going to say this: I've been diagnosing people with mental illness since 2008. Okay, I mean, no, not 2008. Just
did he go out
get
again?
better at through time. I still got a ways to go. This is something, and I've been doing it for 17 years. I still have to get better. I still have to understand there are going to be revisions and things that are going to be done that's going to change things. They're going to take stuff out, like they took out Asperger's and just made it autism spectrum. Like that, those things are going to happen.
I wish they had left Asperger's. I really wish they had left it in there.
They really should have, but they went with it because they felt like they decided to make it a spectrum, meaning that there's a lower level of it, because basically that's how Asperger's was always seen. It was seen as a lower level form of autism, except that a person with autism would have more, I would say, exaggerated, repetitive body language that they would do when they're like
Like they
intensified or
ticks
whatever.
and stemming or
Yeah.
something?
Huh?
Like ticks or stemming or something?
Nah, ticks, that's a totally different disorder. That's a different disorder.
So you talking about
like
stemming? They call it stemming.
Well, you could say stemming. The way I was learning is just repetitive, maybe more exaggerated, repetitive gestures, like the waving of the hands.
Oh, okay.
And things of that sort. Or you may say little sounds, or you may lean your head and do that certain exaggerated that can be a typical of someone with Asperger's or autism. So even as an adult, y'all got to look at it how it may be as because they're adults with autism, adult. This stuff is diagnosed. It has to be diagnosed at a certain age.
Well, it was
Autism before
also
the
a
age,
video. Oh, you cut out.
before
I'm
18.
sorry.
Now,
I keep
before
cutting
you have
off.
to be diagnosed before a certain age, like I think it's age 18, that you can't be diagnosed with autism as an adult. You have to be diagnosed as a child. And there's no way you can go your whole childhood, if your parents gave a damn about you, and not be diagnosed if you truly have that illness.
Now, if we're gonna be honest, do you think some people generations ago would have been that open though? Because I feel like culturally, a lot of people wasn't open to something ain't right, because around black folks that I remember, when I was coming up, and I mean I'm in my 40s, so I'm Generation X, but even then people would just be like, oh he's slow, or yeah he just a little off, but like they really didn't check stuff. They just kind of just said, oh okay, he just a little different, or she a little different,
Right.
and they just left it at that.
Yeah, that's kind of true, but also the resources were not available.
Okay.
And the level of resources, and I'm gonna be honest, the money in mental health now is at an unprecedented rate, more than
I
any,
believe
like
it.
money in mental health is there's a lot of money in mental health right now that wasn't there 30, 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah,
Mental
that's what
health,
some of the people was talking about in the chat.
yeah, mental health has been underfunded for years. I don't think money really started getting into mental health till probably, I want to say, around the late 2008, 9, 10 or something like that, when they started paying more attention to like disasters and people that were, like Hurricane Katrina and other different things. Like they started seeing the mental health effect. And then also there was a huge influx of people diagnosed with PTSD out of the military and stuff. And that's when you start seeing, and then you start seeing these school shootings and stuff. It really, the money started around with crisis intervention. Then it started going into like schools. Like they start flooding schools with making sure they got to have a school psychologist, a school social worker, therapist.
Right.
That's when the money start really coming into where they're really putting money to invest in kids and people with mental health.
Lowcast, are
So
you on your stream? Do you have
No,
your
I'm not,
stream
man.
connected?
No,
Oh,
I do
okay. I was
not.
gonna put something in the back chat if I could find it. I was watching a video the other night on like people explaining the differences between people that are introverts and people that are on the spectrum. And I thought
hmm
that was interesting because sometimes, some introverted people, because like my oldest, he got like social anxiety and stuff like that. Like he don't like people, like straight up. Like,
right,
and I'm laughing, but it kind of tickles because if you already know these, some of them just they behave weird when you think that they off,
yeah,
but they
but
get very strange around people and their anxiety get
yeah,
ramped up. So
yeah.
people think
See, an
something wrong with
autistic,
them, but they just don't
yeah,
like people. Go ahead.
an autistic person really wants to socialize. They just have they have cognitive and developmental limitations that present them from doing so. They
Mhm.
would want to do that, but because of certain limitations, because of their illness, they're unable to do so.
Mhm. Like
And then
somebody
the
was
thing,
saying that.
and also
Go
you
ahead.
also have to understand that, and this is what people don't understand. People with illnesses, they are aware that something is not right with them. They understand that something is. I'm not gonna say not right. I'm gonna say atypical. They do. A person with autism understand that when they are in a environment that people look at them a certain way, people may walk past them and not listen or communicate with them because of their behavior. They understand that. They don't just, even a person that has um not attention, but intellectual deficits will know that they have, in certain environments, they don't function right, and people look
Mhm.
and treat them a certain way. They're not stupid. Just because they mentally ill don't mean they stupid. They understand over time that when they're in certain environments, in certain places, this is what happens. But an introvert is introverted because they have lack of interest, and they actually probably prefer being by themselves because they're more comfortable and at ease, as opposed to somebody that's, you know with
Mhm.
illnesses that are like social anxiety. There's a certain fear, there's a certain irrational thought process that's in the workings that an introvert doesn't possess.
The best way I heard it described was introverts know the game, but they just don't want to play it.
Yeah,
Like they know the
they don't
game, they
want to.
just don't want to play.
Yeah, they don't want to. They don't want to socialize. They don't. They just refuse to. Like, I mean, everybody has some level of introverted behavior. Like, some
Right.
just more than others. I mean, it all
Mhm.
depends. Like, when I'm in certain environments, I may appear like, when I'm in like homogenized environments that are non-black, I'm introverted.
Mhm.
If
You
I'm
doing
if I'm
more
around a lot of
observing?
white people, yeah, I'm just observing. When I'm around people that are like with majority non-black,
Mhm.
I don't socialize. I stay to myself. I mind my own business. I don't, you know, I have no need, no care to intermingle and all that kind of stuff. That's just me. I don't enjoy just openly interacting with people that like that. When I'm at certain place and I see that it's majority another group of people,
Mhm.
I'm minding my own business. I don't look at nobody. I don't speak to nobody. I mean, I'll speak if somebody speak to me. I'll still be civil, but I
Right. Right.
have no,
Right.
need to just, oh, look at me. I'm the only black token black guy in it. Like, I have
Ain't no
no
small
need for that.
talk.
Yeah, like I actually had the last job I had before I went into business for myself. There were white females at that job that were offended by me not giving them attention.
Nah, they thought you were supposed to be all over them, D. You already know how
They,
that go.
yeah, I know. They actually told this was actually this one. I talked to two people. It was this one black guy. Me and him was real cool. We shared an office, and then there was another lady that worked like my last couple of years there. Me and her became real cool friends. And she would talk to them and interact with them, but I didn't. And so
Mhm.
she would say, like almost half the times that she would talk to them, they always be asking questions about, like, why he don't, like, why does he, like, not talk to us? Why did he not, like, socialize? Like, when we're in the break room, he just gets his things and do, it's like we don't exist and all that. and I would find it funny because my thing is that they felt like I owed them that for some reason,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like I was taught when you're around certain people, you mind your business, do your job, and keep to yourself. And
That's
I've
the best
always
way.
stuck to that. I've stuck to that, and I've seen people who got caught up in stuff trying to go along and get along, and look, I'm not saying you should follow what because what works for me may not work for you, but for me,
Absolutely.
that worked for me, and that's the way I go about it. And that
I
was one
can't
of the
even
reasons why I
front
went into
these.
business for myself.
Sometimes I wish I knew how to shut the hell up. But that's what I was gonna say though, like with the ADHD or ADD.
Yeah,
Well, I would say mostly the hyperactivity amongst girls or women. Because as you know, like you were saying, boys are diagnosed more than women, and then let alone black boys are way more diagnosed and misdiagnosed. But a lot of
yeah,
times, a lot of girls are bypassed because theirs usually manifest as like sometimes when you see a chatty patty. I'm a chatty patty. Like, when they young and they just go and go and go and just always talking, talking, talking. Sometimes that's a hyperactivity thing. But to me, it's not a bad
right.
thing. Because my oldest, he was feeling bad one time because, kids was picking at him and stuff because he was in special education when he was younger. And I think they was laughing at him by him being on the school bus or some shit. The whole short bus joke or whatever. And I told him, I say, you tell them that your mind is a fucking Ferrari. You hear me? I say the only thing is you just don't know how to drive it yet. And that's the only thing. So to me, I don't even look at it as a bad thing. Most of the time,
But
hyperactive
see,
minds
yeah,
just have to learn how to drive the Ferrari. That's all it is.
but see, the thing about it is that kids who have ADHD, like what I found that works for kids with ADHD, you have to increase their ability to see kids. See, what teachers want is for kids to just sit quietly and shut up and just listen.
All
And
day.
and and it's just not. That's just not. That you have to involve for kids who have ADHD. You have to involve stimulating movement or activities I'm gonna say every 20 to 30 minutes. We're gonna
Yeah,
You
get a
you got to
about
break.
keep
We're
their
right.
gonna
attention.
listen.
You got to keep their attention.
Yeah, you have to
Because
do
I
that.
get bored fast. I check out quick.
Yeah,
I'll
like
be
You know,
like,
like
okay,
but you
bye.
know what? You know what, D? From my own experiences, dude, that goes back to how modern education is. The majority of children go to public schools, right? And they're
right.
supposed to be conditioned to sit there and pay attention. Now, I also have to also put some of I put a lot of the responsibility back on the parent. You're supposed to be rearing that child from the time they get up, from the youngest ages when they're with you, up until a certain point where you have to put them in education to rear that child to know how to pay attention.
Right. And
And that's an
some
art that
kids,
some children,
yeah, see
they learn that a
the
lot
thing,
later in life.
man, proper child rearing can reduce a lot of this. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I agree. I agree because the structure, because I can't
Yeah,
front. I used to struggle with structure. And so it made it hard when I was dealing with my oldest because both of us need structure, but then mama is out of order and ain't structured. And so I'm one of the people I have no problem with being open about my life because nobody could shame me. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about being a single parent, none of that. But definitely I could see how structure would have helped alleviate some of the challenges, but I struggled with structure. And if I'm gonna keep it real with you, I didn't realize what was going on with me until I started struggling with my oldest. That's the only
okay,
reason I found out what was wrong with me. And I won't even say wrong, but that's why I learned what my challenges were. Before that, I didn't
right.
know. I just kind of deduced it to I'm not as smart as I thought I was, and I'm not, whatever negative stuff. And I just kind of left it like that. But I didn't come to learn more about how my brain worked until I
I'll give
started
you an
dealing with
example
him.
when you finish.
Do what now?
I'll give you an example when you finish.
No, go ahead.
I used to work when I had this is like years ago, a very long time ago now.
Mhm.
I was working with doing that aftercare thing with kids where you do the
Mhm.
counseling
Okay.
and all that kind of stuff.
All right.
And dude, I did it with a bunch of third graders, right, at a predominantly white school. No problems.
Mhm.
I had one little black boy, right? All the problems in the world. Right? Couldn't sit still, couldn't do nothing. And every now and then I would just ask little questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, who's your friend? Your friend, all right, friends. Everybody got a friend except for the little black boy.
Mm.
I found it to be interesting. Now, what makes it even interesting? Now, fast forward to like later on, I was working at a spot at a predominantly black school. Lord have mercy, them kids cannot pay attention longer than 2 minutes, and these are like kids in their 4th and 5th grade.
Right. It's a lot of different levels to it, right? And these are just thoughts of mine.
Let's home in
Okay,
on
go
those
ahead.
levels, Jay. Let's home in on those levels, Jay.
Okay, so when it comes to levels, right? Now these are just thoughts of mine, and D can correct me if I say something out of order. These are just thoughts and opinions that be in my own head. When you have children, regardless to what race, whatever, right? When you have children that grow up in volatile environments or environments that are unpredictable, simply unpredictable, it don't have to necessarily be violent, right? Unpredictable, all that kind of stuff. The neural pathways get to a place where you have all this cortisol pumping through your system, right? And so now you put them in a situation where it's a lot more structured, and it could be a situation that is uneventful, it's not a lot going on, but because they're used to that cortisol pumping through their body. You ever seen kids that they'll act up or whatever, but then when there's no reason to act up and everything is going good, they still just cut up? Like, to me, it's because of them
Yeah, for
chemicals
no
pumping through
reason.
their
Yeah,
yeah, because they're accustomed to that cortisol and stuff like that. And like somebody was talking in the chat about, like dopamine hits and stuff. Cause that's like me, I log off often because I get caught up. I call it dopamine scroll, where you just get on internet or whatever, and you just be scrolling because it stimulate. But me, I try to break away from that. So then when you have a child like that, you know what I'm saying? I think sometimes
right.
it's just they're used to chaos. That, of course, that's not every child, but that's just a thought of mine. And also with the boys, right? Like you were saying that the boy couldn't sit still. Now, in my opinion, when it comes to races, black people in general, naturally, right? Aside from being overweight, are more athletic, more muscle dense. You know what I'm saying? Our bodies are built a bit different in that regard. And then you
Right.
got small boys that need that because they doing their gross motor. They on their gross motor a lot faster than girls. Girls are more on dexterity, fine motor skills when they're developing, as small ones. The boys, they gotta jump because they developing their gross motor skills, they muscles. So if you notice, a lot of them boys, they need to get that energy out, and they're actually reducing fucking physical education, PE and stuff.
Exactly.
Like, they
They
doing the
always
craziest shit out here. It is
exactly.
crazy.
They've been doing that for the last 20 years. Like
Yeah.
I know some elementary schools they got one recess. I'm like, one recess?
Listen, my little
That's
one been
crazy.
out this week because he had a stomach. They got a stomach bug or something going around. So he been out of school this week. So he been home with me. And yesterday he was upset because he like to go to school anyway. But yesterday he was like, "Mom, they got specials at school." I said, "Well, what special is it?" He's like, "PE." He want to get
Yeah,
out there
active.
because he want to
Yeah.
run. But it's
Yep.
like it's not PE every day. They
Nope.
specials include like PE or I forget what the other one is or something else.
Music or something, like
Yeah.
that.
So
That
PE is a special, and that's just insane to me. But you know
that's
what? I
crazy.
got a small trampoline here at the house. He done went through like 3, 4 trampolines, like them exercise trampolines. I probably should have my behind on it, but we gonna digress on that.
Man,
But them little exercise trampolines, he done went through like 3 or 4 of them because I keep them in the house. Because boys they need to build their muscles because they crave that gross
man.
motor skills, and
It
so
should
it's
be
not helpful for none of the kids. Go ahead.
that makes no sense for to be reducing physical education, which is much needed at that age, man. And so to me, that's
So
the issue,
stupid.
man. It's like this
It's
is what my problem
backwards.
with education. They always doing things that to me is like the stuff they need to revise. They revising the wrong things. Like
Mm-hmm.
they get rid of the stuff that to me seem like it should be working, and then they add extra shit. Like they want you to learn about same sex marriage and all that shit, but you don't want kids to exercise.
Right.
Like
They
what
add more
difference?
stress to the students and the teachers because then the
Yeah,
teachers is more like it don't make sense. It don't make sense.
No,
you
the
you
way
you.
the way I see it, guys. Sorry to interject, but the way I see it is that when it comes down to children, right, regardless of race, right, I do believe that children, especially boys, you first gotta wear them out, so to speak. In other words, you gotta give them through put them through active education, some type of
Amen.
physical attribute, something that's physical, before you could get them to wind down and actually pay attention.
Amen.
You know, but again, it goes back to the thing I was trying to point out to you is that when it comes down to parenting, I do believe that parents, especially black parents, have to learn how to train their children before introducing them to education or to society on how to behave, or better yet, how to conduct themselves in society. And you can't just talk to them about it. You have to put them through exercise of doing that. And that exercise is teaching them at home how to pay attention by giving them activities that require them to pay attention. I'm done.
So I have a quick question, right, Locast? When you say that, when you talk about black parents, I live in an area where I could go outside and not see nobody that look like me all day. Okay, so with that being said, I see children here, right, that have some of those same issues, and I'm not saying one way is right or wrong because I don't do right or wrong. I don't have a point. I'm not trying to be right. I'm just trying to present some info. So these kids, right, they may struggle with some of the same stuff that mine may struggle with. Because fast forward, like if we go back a little bit, my oldest, he would get in trouble, and the punishment would be twice as hard versus uh little Saltine over there done threw a whole MacBook on the goddamn floor. You know what I'm saying? I'm listen. And that's what I mean by advocate, because I'm like I tell, like, my son always knew I don't sugarcoat. I don't put shit on cupcakes. You know, I'm not gonna sugarcoat nothing you do. But like I always told him, mommy always got your back. If something is out of order or is unfair, you never have to worry about me letting nobody do some shit to you that's unfair. Long story short, but this what I'm saying. The consequences are still different. I'm not saying that we shouldn't teach kids how to do that, but what I'm saying is some of them same children, them other children, they just is zoned the fuck out. Is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
They
but
deal with some of the.
I will never sit back and try to see. I like to focus on us because there's some things I've seen.
I get it, but you're saying, go ahead. I don't do the white or black. I was just making a point. They don't deal with the misdiagnoses that we do, is all I'm saying.
They don't have to. They got a whole
right. They have that luxury. So this is my thing. You're going extra hard on kids.
That creates these things.
I'm sorry, my child gonna be a child. I'm not gonna put all that pressure on my kids because other people get to do other stuff. You're okay. So you're trying to tell me you got to teach a 5-year-old how to pay attention, how to look forward. You want a 4-5-year-old to do all? Sir, that developmentally don't even make sense.
To you, it doesn't make no doggone sense because you don't want to do it.
To me. No, it's not about that. Because you're talking to somebody who my little one, okay? Listen, he already 3 grades ahead. So we're not going to do that, okay? All I'm saying is developmentally, a 4 or 5-year-old, you finna teach them all this stuff before they go out into the world. That's not realistic, but I'll let you have it. I'm going on mute.
Do you understand how the neurons engrave in the brain, since you understand all of this brain activities and all
you're
that
being condescending. You're being condescending. You can do that with yours. I mean, everybody parent how they want to parent. I don't tell people how to parent. I'm just trying to figure out how developmentally how that makes sense.
See, the point is you're pointing out something that I already kind of can see it happen. Is that some of us have a tendency to come up with this other extra stuff onto the thing just to kind of like push it along to say, well, I don't need to do that. Oh, I shouldn't have to do that.
I think you're used to that on here because I don't do that.
In other people's households, regardless.
Anybody that knows me I don't do that. Teaching proper behavior is totally different.
No, that teaching your child how to have behavior is very important.
Oh my God, some things are just a part of development. That doesn't make sense.
I got a gut feeling other people do teach their kids how to behave, but yes, you may have B.A. Billy.
If you want to talk about other kids, they serial killers in the making. I see them every day. So if we're gonna talk about other kids, we could talk about them.
I know what you're talking about. I've witnessed some of these doggone kids. They're just regular kid,
okay,
other kids in the classroom. Right, and
All
it's
right.
too comical when you go back and see they're a single parent. They got
Okay, I hear you.
Okay, so
I hear
guys,
you.
I do have to wrap up. I'm at the
Oh, now you want
I
to go
actually
now?
have a
Now I
2-hour,
only got
30
this whole
minutes.
doggone thing riled
Hey,
up.
anyway, people parent how they want to parent because I'm a parent mind the way I parent
This
mine.
has been a great discussion, but I do
D,
have
I
to.
appreciate you. I'll be tapping in with you.
All
I
right,
still love
Queen.
you, Jay. Have a good one, Jay.
All right, any last word, Locast?
Hey, man, I
You
hate
was
to do
on
that.
one.
I hate to do that, but that was just the point that I was trying to make. Is that sometimes as people, sometimes we don't want to have to accept the responsibility of how we need to groom children. And I do believe that some of that stuff is a lost art. And this is part of the reason why a lot of your children are being misdiagnosed, because you're also having them diagnosed by people who don't give a rat's behind about your children in the first place.
That is truth to that. So that is definitely true to that. And teaching them too. So any other thing? Anything else, brother?
Man, thanks for having me up here, and I hope hopefully you let me allow me to come back up in the future. Thanks, bro.
Anytime, man. I'm gonna be going live the whole weekend, so you'll have plenty of opportunities.
Thank you, sir. Have a
All
good
right, player. All right, guys, I got to get going. I do appreciate the discussion. Y'all have a great day. Peace.